for Jonathan Taylor. There he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. INDY.
The Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Good morning and welcome into the Fan Morning Show. You made it all the way to Wednesday. We start to turn the page on the successes this past weekend for the Colts and IU and everybody else, and we start getting ready for a regular season debut for the Indiana Pacers tomorrow night, back on the field Saturday for IU, and of course the Colts continue to try to ride the top of the wave in the National Football League. Good morning, Kevin Bowen. Good morning, James Boyd. Mark Dykton, we have had you busy and running for the last 20 minutes. All kinds of technical issues going on right now, most of which nobody can control, right?
I think the Tasmanian Devil came into the studio last night because cameras were all over the place, monitors were unplugged. I don't know what happened. So we're down a monitor today.
Facebook is down right now.
If you usually watch the show on Facebook, not that you're going to hear this anyway, but the Facebook stream is down. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on wherever else, but Facebook is MIA for the day.
Yeah, and we've got people working on Facebook. I don't know that there's anything we here on our end can do about the Facebook thing, but we'll get that taken care of for you as soon as we can. Good morning, Kevin Bowen. Welcome into Wednesday. I guess quiet day for the Colts yesterday, but maybe they had one or two guys in for workouts, right?
Yeah, about a handful of defensive end, edge-ish guys in there. They signed a man, I believe, who attended the Colts Pro Day and attended the alma mater of one James Boyd. So
actually covered Seth Coleman.
Defensive end injuries for the Colts right now. So, Seth Coleman joining the practice squad. So, yeah, pretty quiet Tuesday, though, all in all. And I'd say that league-wide. 2 weeks away from the trade deadline. Nothing real crazy around the league. So, back on the practice field today for the lowly Tennessee Titans.
All right. NBA started last night with a couple of games. James, did you find yourself gazing at any TVs at any point in time?
Yeah, I'm always going to tune in to opening night. I thought it was pretty good theater out there in OKC with the Rockets and KD-led Rockets coming to town for their ring ceremony, and OKC pulled it out in double overtime. That was a weird game. And then we saw the LeBron-less Lakers with Luka struggle in their first game against the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry. So, like I said, I'll try to watch Steph, KD, LeBron, all the old heads until they're not there anymore.
Well, they're going to be out there for a while, and hopefully you get LeBron back at some point in time, and we'll see what his contributions will be for the Lakers as time rolls by. But, of course, we're all ready, waiting, and willing to watch the Pacers as they get going tomorrow night. But same questions today as we had yesterday, JB. Like, what's the depth going to look like, and what's the point guard positions particularly going to look like before we all say, okay, this is what this 25-26 Pacers team is going to give us right now?
Yeah, I don't know how much of it has changed between yesterday and today, so we'll see what it all brings. But I did like what Rick Carlisle had to say yesterday about Taylor Peter. Maybe he is someone who will get more of that point guard role. Hasn't really played that position before, but considering, like you said, Jeff, the lack of depth and the injuries, you got to put the ball in somebody's hands besides Andrew Nembhard. So will the rookie second-round pick get an opportunity there?
Yeah. We've got Daniel Jones here in Indianapolis, and I'm happy for that because maybe you just need it out of New York City. I was talking about my general for at least living there, my disdain for New York City. Like I say, fun place to visit for a couple of days, then I can't wait to leave. But, I mean, while Daniel Jones is thriving here in Indianapolis, you got the Jets owner throwing his quarterback under the bus publicly yesterday. Russell Wilson's already fighting with Sean Payton, and it gets magnified with all the media out there. And I'm sure that the intense pressure the Jackson Dart is under, if he doesn't turn into be a completely successful guy in the next 11 months, they'll start to turn on him as well. Maybe quarterback play, unless you're just generationally gifted, maybe New York is not the best place to go, Kevin.
You and Daniel Jones bonding over your hatred of the Big Apple.
Comes another farmer's blow from Daniel Jones and Jeff Rickard. Broadway, puh.
Look at that. You guys could get together and just cheers each other about how much you hate New York City.
It's just, here's what I say about New York City. First of all,
Jeff's is like random though. I'm like,
this is not random.
This had a bad experience.
I've been there 30, 40 times.
I was like, they booed Daniel Jones and told him to leave.
Yeah, I'm telling
Jeff
you.
went, they didn't know who he was, and then he was like, you know what? I hate this place.
The rats in the subway are booing Jeff.
I have seen a rat nearly the size of a subway car, by the way. at 4 o'clock in the morning, leaving to leave the city.
Oh,
on
4
a
o'clock in the
bus.
morning in New York. Maybe that's the reason why you don't like New York. What were you out there doing?
No,
young Rickard.
It's people upon people. You can't see the sun half the time because the beautiful, gorgeous look. There's great things about
Buildings
New York
are
City.
too tall.
I just
I
don't
was
want
going
to
to say,
live
my
there.
boy is hating architecture right
I
now.
just don't
Naked
want to live there.
cowboy is flopping around.
No, they have to have those tall buildings because there are literally people upon people upon people. There's at 4 o'clock in the morning when you leave to leave the city to get on a bus and you and the team fly out to whatever. You see all the garbage that's getting picked up and there's rats running around the place. All that stuff. There are some great, wonderful things about New York City. The media scrum there and just the feeling of people everywhere, I could do without, Kevin, forever.
Well, I think Daniel Jones has found a very quaint part of Indianapolis to enjoy his first year here, and I think life at this pace is serving him quite well. And it's a couple football nerds right now running the NFL into the ground offensively. So, again, the Colts have been absolutely exceptional. It seems like every day there's like, oh, and this stat since 19, blah, blah, blah. And like it's 19s, it's not 20s. It's amazing how great this offense has been. There was part of me that got posed this question the other day, and maybe we can get into it a little bit later. But back in 2019, the Colts got off to a 5-2 start. Obviously, this year they're 6-1. Are there similarities to that? That season bottomed out. And I do think it's something we could maybe get into a little bit later today of, is this fool's gold? Is it not? Is there more staying power with this start versus the other, strong start in the Chris Ballard era? I think that's something we can maybe hit on.
Well, we got a busy show for you today. We'll talk about all that stuff with the Colts, and we've got Stephen Holder. We'll chat with him coming up in about 40 minutes from now. He's going to take us to the top of the hour. Scott Dolson, the athletic director at IU, is going to join us at the top of the hour, 8 o'clock, and then at 8:30, Pat Forde, one of the great all-time college football writers, will stop by and give us some perspective on what we're watching here with the Indiana Hoosiers. So we got a huge day of information gathering and fun to get to as well. And I'm just curious, like, what is a typical – you guys work your tails off. I've always admired, and maybe because I was there once, but the beat writer, it literally is a 24/7 kind of thing during the season. I know the players have Tuesdays off. Do you actually get any time off on Tuesdays?
Not really. I mean, we have the coordinators who talk on Tuesdays, at least on the Colts beat. So that was some of the day yesterday. I will say when you don't have to go to the facility, that kind of makes the day a little bit shorter to get some things done in your life. But I spent most of my day kind of going through the Cam Jones probable cause affidavit and going through. I know you stopped at practice, Kevin. Got a statement from him and Rick Carlisle about the arrest Monday. And so, that was a more unique Tuesday than usual. But now you're never really off. I've kind of accepted that and accepted it years ago.
Well, the reason I bring that up, like, I'm here usually until about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and then I start to take off and go do whatever. About 1 o'clock yesterday, I'm coming down the stairs. There's a big middle of the building where the stairs are. You can take stairs, you can take elevators. I like taking the stairs between the 4th and 5th floor. We do the studio on the 4th floor. My office is up on the 5th floor, and I'm walking around the corner into the little the cavern, I should say.
Tavern?
Yeah, I wish there was
baby.
a tavern here. But there's a little cavernous enclosure, and you can see into conference rooms and things like that. And there's Kevin Bowen there in the corner, typing away on his. What did you have going on at
he's
2 o'clock in the
spying on you,
afternoon?
KB.
HR meeting, huh? Another HR
Yeah.
violation.
What was going on there?
Kevin Bowen.
I got to file one of those myself.
Yeah, I looked at Tad
Stop
creepy
taking
in
your
there.
shirt off at work.
I'm
That
sure
the
I
lights
did.
were not on in the conference room.
Pants were on, hopefully.
Yeah, he had pants on, but he was over in the corner with his computer.
Me in the boxes,
And
right?
I don't know what was going on there.
I hopped on a Zoom podcast with some folks overseas, some Colts fans in Germany, and I believe the UK as well. Obviously, the Colts play in Berlin here, upcoming in a few weeks, so they had reached out, asked if I would come on their podcast. They pitched the podcast of "We Drink Beer and Talk Colts Football." I said, boy, you had me at, first eye contact. Say no more after that. So I was set. Unfortunately, I did not have a cold beer, but they all cheersed each other. Of course, it was, 7 o'clock overseas, 8 o'clock overseas.
Yeah.
But a great time. But, I've said this before. I don't know. I'm probably one of the few American NFL fans that I actually enjoy the international games. I think it's really cool that the NFL goes overseas. I think it's awesome that a different part of the country, or of the world, I should say, gets to experience what we get on a weekly basis. To me, one game, whatever, every third week or however many there are in the NFL, it's not too big of a deal. And to see like their pure, genuine joy to talk Colts football. I mean, these dudes were beyond happy. And again, drinking beer probably helped, but they were absolutely thrilled. And so, yeah, I enjoyed it. And I think if anybody has been to the international games or is going, they'll have a great experience there. So, yeah, Colts Falcons in a couple weeks in Berlin.
Yeah, Beers with Bowen has gone international, Mark Dykton.
Lots of imperial stouts and everything.
I mean, you should have heard them describing their beers. I mean, it was very, very impressive. And their backgrounds looked far different than I. So, yeah, when I did catch Jeff out of the corner of my eye, he's probably thinking, what the hell is going on in there? So a lot of people were in and out of that room like, oh, wow, we had no idea you were in here. But there's not a lot of like quiet places to do something like that. So,
well, you mentioned all the boxes. We're getting ready to move studios to a few blocks up north, and they have kind of used that fourth floor conference room as a staging area for a lot of the equipment and new equipment that's arrived in boxes. And so they're just boxes stacked up. So you got all these boxes in the conference room. The lights are off in it, essentially. It's only being lit by the lights from the outside of the conference room. And there's Kevin sitting over there on the corner.
I like those chairs in there. Great
those
chairs,
are nice chairs
in there. Nice little table to put your laptop on. So I feel very comfortable.
It was good stuff. Speaking of international, remember Paul, the producer that was in here, following you around for this, this documentary
Paul,
with the Colts going to Germany. He sent me an email out of blue yesterday saying, hey, I hope you guys are doing okay. We're working on this. It looks great. Just thought I'd let you know. So how about that? There you go.
We're stars.
Yeah, international. Well, Kevin is already a star in taverns all over. Speaking of taverns, all over the place in Germany. So we've got that going on. All right, so a big day coming up later on today. Again, Stephen Holder at 7:45, Scott Dolson at 8, Pat Forde at 8:30. A lot of your texts and phone calls in between at 239-1070. It's a busy Wednesday here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Down on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning. I hope your Wednesday's going well. Thanks for joining us here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. We'll start with the Indianapolis Colts. Players were off yesterday. Coordinators met with the media, a couple of tryouts as the Colts get ready to play a home game against division rival Tennessee Sunday afternoon. It's a late start at 4:25. Kevin, did I see Shaq Barrett was one of the guys that the Colts were kind of trying out?
Yeah, Shaq Barrett, two-time, I believe, Pro Bowler, had 19-some sacks back a handful of years ago. If I remember correctly, I want to say he did like the retire-unretire thing a couple times last season. So, yeah, hasn't played football in a while, turns 33 here in a few weeks. The Colts did not sign him, but yes, he was on the list of tryout guys from yesterday.
Anything that anybody said on the teleconferences, James, that struck your fancy or anything worth talking about this morning?
Teleconferences, man.
The little Zoom calls, whatever you want to call it.
But yeah, not only laughing because I was like, I haven't heard that term in a while. But yeah, not really for the most part. Talking to Jim Bob Cooter and then talking to the other special teams coordinator, Brian Mason, and Lou Anarumo. I think the biggest takeaway that I probably had was, at least the most intriguing thing was that A.D. Mitchell was taking special teams reps for the first time in his life last week and had some gunner reps. So, where is his head at as he goes into this, gets to that middle part of the season? Kind of been up and down for him. So he's someone I definitely want to check in with this week. But beyond that, not really. I'm very curious to see just how this team approaches any potential injuries to that defensive line, considering that Tyquan Lewis is day-to-day. The last time we checked with Shane Steichen, and then knowing that Samson Ebukam had a knee injury that he left the game with as well on Sunday.
All right, we'll keep an eye on the Colts all week long as they get ready again to take on the Tennessee Titans. They are 6-1, best record in the AFC and the NFL, and ranked very highly offensively just about everywhere. We'll get into all of it. Stephen Holder coming up at 7:45. Indiana Pacers start their season tomorrow night against Oklahoma City, 6:30 airtime here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Last night, Oklahoma City opened the NBA season with a win at home in double overtime against Kevin Durant and the Houston Rockets. This just in, Kevin, SGA is pretty good at basketball.
Very good. Chet Holmgren, also very good. I'm not going to lie, guys. I had a lot of PTSD last night.
Yeah, there was some of that going around.
Now, good PTSD on the intro. I thought the NBC intro was excellent. I thought of shaved heads. I thought of Black Sox. I thought of Pacers Bulls a whole lot. Pacers Knicks a whole lot. But then once the ring ceremony started, it was, a lot of what could have been. A lot of Game 4, a lot of Game 7.
I like seeing Jordan, Reggie, Magic, Ewing. That was all very well done. That was very cool. I also like them asking the young guys, what do you remember of the NBA and NBC? And they're like, yeah, we weren't alive then.
Yeah, that was probably going to be me.
I thought that intro was really well done. Like kind of going from that to, getting to Steph and LeBron, getting a little bit to the old guard there and looking back on it. So great game. Obviously double overtime. That's good for the Pacers, you would think, as they welcome the Thunder here. Coming up tomorrow night, Jalen Williams, the good Jalen Williams, he did not play last night for the Thunder.
Also, Tarico and Reggie Miller, big thumbs up. I thought that was a great tandem right there.
Jamal Crawford as well, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Former Bull himself. Oklahoma City wins at 125-124 in double overtime, as you mentioned. 35 for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He only had 5 at the half, but he did hit a game-tying shot with 2 seconds to go in the game-winning free throws in double overtime. Kevin Durant had 23. Also, the Golden State Warriors got 31 from Jimmy Butler, 23 from Steph. They beat the Lakers 119-109. Luka Doncic led the way with 34 points, 12 rebounds. Later on tonight, a whole
43.
host of games. Okay, I'll give him 33. When I'm looking at
43.
43? Well,
yeah.
Oh, so somebody transcribed it here. It says 34, but that's okay. Yeah. Brooklyn Nets will play at Charlotte tonight. Cleveland at New York. That will be kind of interesting to watch. And those are just 2 of a bunch of games that get going on this evening.
We know who Jeff's rooting for in that game.
Yes, the Cleveland Cavaliers, slightly over the New York Knicks. I'm okay with all that. I feel comfortable in my opinions there. College football, we're midweek 2 for Indiana as they get ready to host UCLA on Saturday. The second-ranked Hoosiers want to make sure they pick up right where they left off. And you heard yesterday Kurt Cignetti saying that they're really playing an undefeated UCLA team because they've won 3 games in a row since they made a coaching change. You do whatever you say, whatever you can say, get your team ready to go.
I mean, he's probably one of the best in the country, I think, at playing the mind games and pushing back against human nature, I guess. It will make you say, oh, it's an easy game, easy opponent. So I can lean into that a little bit.
Scott Dolson, the athletic director for Indiana, joins us at 8 o'clock this morning. Kevin, anything in particular you'd like to hear from him in this wave of success now and new coaches and everything else for IU lately?
Sure. Hopefully a little peek behind the curtain and what all transpired a couple of Thursdays ago and getting that done with Kurt Signetti on the extension. Indiana will play their second exhibition game basketball-wise for Darren DeVries. So college basketball coming up this weekend. I know Purdue, Matt Painter, always a great time. Been listening to him on with John yesterday afternoon. It'll be Purdue at Kentucky Friday, and then Indiana right here over at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. They've got Baylor. That is Sunday afternoon. I want to say it's a 1 o'clock start. So you could slide over there and then slide over to Lucas Oil after that.
I'd like to give him my routing number in case he wants to make a Kurt Signetti deposit into my account, courtesy of
Smart
the
man.
university.
I like it. We also had some IndyCar sounds coming out of the track yesterday over at Speedway. Oval car testing in the offseason. That's always fun for a lot of people.
I believe another day of it today. Not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure they're out there today again.
All right. Hopefully you had a chance to catch up on all of that stuff on Trackside last night with Kurt and Kevin. You can hear them every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock right here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. And we got a couple of days off for the World Series. Are you invested now, playoff James, in Major League Baseball?
I feel like I always tune into the biggest games of probably any sport just because I know there are a ton of people who are stressed out more than me. So, I'll definitely try to tune in. And after seeing what, Shohei has done in this postseason, I feel like I should probably be able to tell somebody I watched a few of his games during his heyday.
All right, so the Dodgers take on the Blue Jays in Toronto Friday night for Game 1 of the World Series. Blake Snell will start for the Dodgers. The Blue Jays haven't yet decided, Mark, who they want to go up against the Dodgers in Game 1.
Throw whoever you can, whoever's healthy, whoever's not still hung over from the ALCS celebration.
Do we have 29 fan bases rooting against the Dodgers in this one?
I would think so.
Just because of all the money they spend.
Blue Jays haven't been there in most of my lifetime, so yeah, I'm pulling for Toronto.
All right. Anything else you want to throw in, guys, before we head to break here?
We'll see what that Pacers injury report looks like for today. Again, 7.5-point underdog, the early line for tomorrow night with Oklahoma City Thunder. So the Pacers got a couple nagging injuries. Obviously, no TJ McConnell. We know that. So we'll see exactly where they're at health-wise going into tomorrow night.
All right. Coming up in just a moment, we'll talk to Stephen Holder about 20 minutes from now. We'll get into some of the Colts and what's happening throughout the rest of the National Football League in the interim as we get ready for a big Wednesday here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Pacers getting ready to start back up. The Colts are doing well. IU's doing well. We got Purdue basketball. I know I sound like a broken record, but I couldn't help thinking last night, Mark, watching the NBA return to NBC and round ball rock and Michael Jordan saying he doesn't even pick up a basketball anymore, and I'm curious what his contributions are going to be this year. Like, it just feels like all is right in the sports world at this moment in time.
So far, so good. Took it back. Turned back the clock with round ball rock last night.
Man, I was digging that. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, NBA season is already here. We had a couple of games last night. Pacers get going again tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to that. And it's obviously, this is, I think, one of the best times of the year. Everybody always talks about spring, and the Masters is fantastic. It's coming off the Final Four. That's a great time of year, no question. But you give me regular season basketball, the middle of the football season, Fall Classic is about to start. This is not a bad time for sports. And you look at the overtime win last night. There was a hockey game I was watching last night with Tampa and the Bruins. That got decided very late. Like, if you can't enjoy the drama and the ups and the downs and the excitement of sports, I don't know. I can't help you. I don't know what to tell you.
People who don't love sports, I don't know them. That's probably the best way I could put it. I don't want to know them. Maybe that's too harsh of a statement there. But yes, it's a great time. Nightly appointment television. We're starting to get more into that aspect of the sports calendar. Again, Pacers start 1 of 82 coming up tomorrow night inside of Gainbridge Field. Now, it sounds like there will be a little bit. I know Rick kind of shared this with us. If you missed Rick Carlisle, that's up on the podcast from yesterday. Sounds like there'll be a little bit of a banner reveal. I don't expect like a long, drawn-out ceremony by any means, but at least some sort of unveiling tomorrow night before the tip.
Yeah, and I go
Conference
back.
Title.
You're talking about the ups and downs. Like, I don't remember, and I've been fortunate enough to be a part of some really cool moments and celebrations over the years in sports. But that win to clinch the Eastern Conference last year, and James, you were around walking back through downtown from the field house just over here at the studio, and the streets were alive and people were happy and they were high-fiving and horns were honking and everybody was toasting one another out in the streets in front of the bars and stuff like that. Like, that's what sports can do for an entire city right there, James, and I love that about sports.
Absolutely. And I guess, your goal is to hopefully get an opportunity to experience that again. I don't think it'll be this year considering the injury to Tyrese Halliburton, but that is the goal that he laid out. And honestly, emotionally, he laid it out in that Netflix Starting Five documentary. So looking forward to the unique version of the Pacers, as I'll put it out there, and what they can do this season as well.
You said you had to spend the day for The Athletic kind of following the Cam Jones stuff yesterday. What did you find out? What were you able to discover there?
Yeah, I know originally it was labeled as like, and I want to say it was a couple of different outlets that did this, like he took the police on like a chase. But after you read the probable cause affidavit, like, not to make excuses for the guy because the police officer said he, allegedly clocked him allegedly going about 90 and a 50. So I'm like, I can't really absolve you of that. That's absurd. But Cam Jones apparently told the police, I didn't know I was being pulled over. So if you keep that in mind, and it sounds like he didn't like take him like on some wild goose chase. He just took him off the expressway and, pulled over or whatever the case may be. But it doesn't sound like, just to clear this up, like that he was like, oh my God, the police are behind me. I'm going to step on the gas. Like, it didn't seem like it was that. So I don't know what that'll mean for like the charges in the case, but from the reaction that he had when he spoke at practice yesterday, Kevin, you were there. You can probably speak more to that, and then the reaction that Rick Carlisle had on these airwaves. It sounds like they're not too worried about what happened, but still not an overall, I guess, good thing to have on the resume as a rookie who hasn't played an NBA game yet.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good way to put it, James, is the Pacers probably would sum it up as an overreaction.
Yeah.
I think is how Rick Carlisle shared that with us. He kind of backed that up over at practice. Yeah, Cam Jones stated an apology yesterday prior to the start of practice. So I think, in trying to, move on from this, that's probably the best way to handle it. And Cam Jones, from a health standpoint on the floor, he has been hurt, a back injury, I believe. Wasn't supposed to play for the next couple of weeks anyways.
Yeah, I think Carlisle said he'll get evaluated again November 9th.
Yeah, kind of on the TJ McConnell timeline here. One thing to go back to when you guys were touching on, Halliburton and kind of life without him. I'll go back to remember Alex Golden said this when we had him on at some point here in the offseason of, how are the Pacers going to play Halliburton basketball without Halliburton?
Great question, honestly.
Like, you can play, I think, with pace without him. Like, I think there will be an inherent effort to try and continue to run. Like, that, to me, I think has been pretty much kind of branded into these Pacers. But when you run, it oftentimes can bring some risk, and the risk being turnovers, the risk being not handling the basketball to the level that, maybe in more of a controlled pace you're able to do. And one of the many, I would say arguably Halliburton's greatest gift is to be such just a maestro of it all and throw passes and get guys involved and assist after assist and get guys open shots. And then you add it up at the end of 48 minutes and you're like, he had one turnover? How? Like, you watch NBA games every night and all these dudes turn the ball over. All of them. Even the great ones.
That's his superpower, honestly.
So that would be my question. Like, Andrew Nembhard running, Benedict Mathurin running, Aaron Nesmith running. Yeah, I can see all of that playing out, but running efficiently, running without the bad, I guess, aspect to it, that is something that Halliburton does so well. And obviously right now, from a point guard standpoint, Rick said it yesterday, the backup point guard tomorrow night could be a guy that's never played point guard in an NBA game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just the reality of where they're at from a depth chart standpoint. If that's Jarris Walker as a point forward, if that's Taylen Peter in his first ever NBA game, whatever that looks like for them. So I think that's something that'll be a huge topic.
And to your point, to drill down on a little bit deeper, too, there are point guards and then there are point guards. We got so used to
point gods, right?
Yeah, point gods.
G-A-W-D.
We got so used to the numbers last year, James. Seemed like every night it was 12 assists, 1 turnover, 14 assists, 0 turnovers, 13 assists, 1 turnover, 15 assists, 2 turnovers. I mean, the ratio was just absurd for the second half of that season last year.
Yeah, and that's why I think, again, love the confidence from Pacers fans, and they should be confident in this group just because of the resiliency they've shown, no matter what's kind of been thrown at them the last couple of years. But when you lose an all-NBA caliber player, a top 15 player in the world, that is hard to overcome. And I think it's even harder to overcome when that player is your system. So we'll see how they're able to adapt that system. I know Rick Carlisle talked at length about this yesterday and even brought up his love of music and how music can be shifted and composed in different ways. Well, we're going to see some musical chairs when it comes to the Pacers this year and how they look without Halliburton.
And I don't overreact to a 4-game preseason sample size, but they did turn the ball over at a very alarming rate in the preseason. Now, I understand that you obviously are mixing and matching lineups and, you're not playing your starters, into the second halves of really many, if any, of those games. So that is something that definitely deserves to be watching. But yeah, point guard rotation, or I should say point guard depth and center rotation. How much Obi Toppin with that starting unit? Is that your, if they get into a 2-possession game with 5 minutes to go tomorrow night with the Thunder, is it Obi Toppin with that group? Now, look at how the Thunder started last night. Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren in the starting lineup. That obviously is, a pretty big starting lineup. How do you counter with that?
It's going to be interesting to watch. In the meantime, we turn our attention here on the Fan Morning Show to the Payless Liquors hotline. We're the one, the only, early today, and we are here for it and love it, and thank him for that. Stephen Holder, ESPN, covers the Colts. Good morning, my friend. How you doing today?
Doing well. How are things?
Things are good. We appreciate you being here a little bit earlier than normal. I'm just curious. I've only been here for 13 years. You've been here for a while. You've been covering this team for a while. What's going on with the Colts right now, and how do you explain this 6-1 start last night or this year when given the fact that we all thought that the Colts would be doing well to try and get to 500 this year?
They, they are playing with, I know this sounds like a simplistic answer, but they're playing with like a rare confidence right now. I think it was Mo Alley Cox that said to me the other day. He said, we feel like we're going to score 40 every game, and he was serious, And now again, you have to have talent to do that, but they don't have a significantly difference in talent from previous years. I think there's something about this team, and certainly Daniel Jones is part of it, but it's not the only thing. They have unlocked something where they really have tapped into what they're doing schematically, yes, but what they are doing has unlocked this level of confidence, and they have this swagger that I've never seen from them, at least not in the recent past. So it is really interesting to watch. But that's the best I can give you. It really is remarkable.
Holder, should the Colts be buyers at the trade deadline?
Yeah, I mean, yes, in theory. I think my answer to this has I don't know what's going on with me this morning, sorry. But I think my answer to this has been largely that the usual rules should be broken this year, in terms of what they might typically do. In other words, Chris Ballard has tended to be pretty conservative at the trade deadline. If anything, he might trade away as opposed to trading for. I think this year is different because I think they really have a chance. I mean, they have the best record in the NFL. We'll see if that holds. I mean, long way to go, and the schedule gets harder. But, I mean, they're in position to do something big that he's never had a chance to do for sure. So I think the rules that he typically has should be broken this year. However, buyers for what? It depends on what's available. And I don't know that the availability is what people want. I mean, will what's available to them solve their problems? That I don't know. You look at Trey Hendrickson. You think the Bengals are trading that guy now? They think Joe Flacco is going to get them somewhere. I mean, they may be wrong, but we'll see. I'm skeptical, but they had a big win the other night, and they feel like they got a shot, right? So I don't see that happening. Just things like that. I think that's going to be the question. Who's available? And what's it going to cost? Does it make sense, even in light of what they have a chance to do this year? And that's what's the tougher part of the question.
So to follow up to that, Holder, and again, I see where you're coming from, but I guess my deeper question is, when you look at this pass rush or even the secondary, do you feel like can you sleep at night if 6 weeks from now you didn't take that swing on even just a serviceable veteran, someone can help you or upgrade, at least give you a little boost in those areas? I mean, I know linebackers, another group that probably needs some help, but just one of those, because in my mind, I just don't see how this pass rush in particular, at least in my mind, how it gets better, because I haven't seen enough from that group, unfortunately, even though they've been invested in a lot considering where these guys have been drafted.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think their defense is a championship-level defense right now. And a lot of that is because of injuries. I mean, I think if the secondary was at full strength, you might see more from the pass rush. That's the one thing I think we have glossed over a little bit, is that, yes, they're not winning enough up front. I'm not going to pretend that they are. However, quarterbacks will have to hold the ball more if you have tighter coverage. And let's just be honest. I mean, I might as well be playing corner at this point, right? I mean, it's tough right now, right? And I think the injuries are what they are. And I'm giving Chris Ballard some grace on that, because he did address the secondary.
Yeah, he did.
And he did, right? And we all know that. Everybody agrees. But the NFL is brutal. And this is just one of those years, man, where injuries come in bunches, and the secondary is one of those spots where you tend to have these things happen, those soft tissue injuries, lower body injuries, etc. And they just have gotten overwhelmed this year. So I guess what I'm saying is I agree with you. Yes, I don't think this defense, the way it's playing right now, I don't think you can win a Super Bowl like that. I mean, right? We might as well be talking about it in those terms, right? You get the best record in the NFL. So we might as well raise the bar pretty damn high. And I know that's what they're thinking, so we might as well. So I agree with you. I think they have to figure out how they can, muster something on defense to really get to a championship level, because I don't know that this defense is.
ESPN.com, where you can find the work of Stephen Holder. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Stephen, I hate to ask your brain to go back 6 years, but I guess I will. We haven't had too many of these starts in the Chris Ballard era, of course, getting off to 6-1 and, being at this position as the month of October starts to come to a close. But in 2019, they did get off to a 5-2 start. It's a topic I wanted to get into a little bit later today, but haven't really had the chance to expand on it. But when you think back to 2019, obviously you had the Luck retirement that shocked everybody. Just weeks before the start of the season, Jacoby Brissett gets thrust into starter duty. And there they are starting 5-2. Do you see any similarities to that season at all? Differences? How do you kind of view the two best starts in the Ballard era?
Yeah, I've thought about that. I think this is different. And the reason for it is, first off, that team was not blowing people out the way this team is, right? They were not overwhelming opponents. They were playing well, and I think they get credit for that. Obviously, they didn't sustain it. But this team is playing so far and away better than their opponents. And granted, I do subscribe to the idea that the schedule hasn't been that tough. I think that is a fair thing to at least discuss. I don't think it matters, though, because look at how they're beating people. That's my thing. I mean, even the Chargers, who are not, an easy opponent, so to speak. I mean, they were leading that game at 2 points by two different junctures by 21 points, right? So I don't recall the margin of victory or all that in 2019, but that team did not look like this team. They just didn't. And I don't think there's been a win other than the Denver game where you looked at them and said, I don't know if they're going to pull this one out. I mean, they have been in control of every game. It's crazy, just about. So that's the difference. And then, frankly, just offensively, and the quarterback play is different for sure. And just offensively, the level of offense they're playing at, which I think looks sustainable. That is different for sure. So, but the 2019 season does reinforce how difficult it is to carry it through. It's tough, and it will get tougher. All right, and don't fall off if you're a fan if they lose a couple, in the next 6 weeks and say, I knew it. No, it's going to happen. It is what it is. That's the NFL. So just FYI.
Stephen Holder, ESPN.com, joining us here on the Fan Morning Show on the Payless Liquors Hotline. You talk about that offense, and I'm thinking back, and maybe 1 or 2 of the years with Andrew Luck, certainly with Peyton Manning. When you're sitting there in the press box and you're watching this team, do you kind of get the feeling that every possession you feel pretty good about getting points out of it at this point in time? Like, when was the last time we felt that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think the execution is just spectacular. And that's a boring word for people, but it's the most important word. Execution is how you avoid 3rd and 14. Right, because 3rd and 14s don't happen in the NFL. They actually have converted some ridiculous 3rd and longs this year, to be clear. But generally speaking, you get in those 3rd and longs, you're punting. That's just you're giving the defense all the cards. Okay, they have been executing on 1st down and 2nd down, and so sometimes they don't even get to 3rd down. And when they do, it's 3rd and manageable. You get Shane Steichen in 3rd and 3. Well, you might as well just give it to him because he's going to have something. He's going to be able to dial something up. And so that is, I think, been the perfect storm. When you execute early, you stay out of those 3rd and longs, they are sustaining drives. Most drives end disappointingly because somebody gets a penalty or somebody makes a drop or whatever, right? That's how most drives end. Well, they're not doing those things. They generally are not doing those things, and so their drives are being sustained, and they're scoring more points than everybody else, which is pretty fundamental, right, to winning. It's simplistic, but that's what you're seeing. When you execute, this is what you get. Most teams can't execute at this level. I think it's a credit to the coaching. We got to give them credit. I mean, they are doing something pretty remarkable right now.
Stephen, thanks as always for stopping by. Thanks for doing it a little bit early today. We appreciate that, and we'll talk to you again later this week.
All right, guys. See you soon.
Stephen Holder, ESPN.com, joining us on the Payless Liquors Hotline, talking about the Indianapolis Colts. And I know, James, you've been on the beat for a couple of years now, but how crazy is it to sit in that press box and every time they get the football, like, okay, here we go. Let's see how they get it done this time.
Yeah, pretty much. I expect them to go down there and score a touchdown, not just score points. I feel like this offense, number one offense in the league, you have to give them that respect at this point. I'm always thinking to myself, okay, how long do you wait in a season to accept whatever trends you're seeing? And I think when you get through 7 weeks and you have the number one offense in the NFL, you can definitively say we have a great offense. And one of the quotes that I use in my story for Sunday's game recap that really stands out to me was Mo Cox saying that he told rookie Tyler Warren after week 1, hey, it's not always like this. And then he's like, hey, Rook, it's kind of hard to get him to believe that when we do this every week. Even I've had to change my perspective a bit. So, yeah, to go out there and basically think they're going to score 40 points every game, that's a testament to, one, the play calling from Shane, but also the talent they have on this roster. And it starts, I think, or it's been amplified by having not just a steady quarterback, because Daniel Jones has certainly been steady. He's been elite, I would say, through the first 7 weeks of the season. And, you know, if you put him on the list of top 5 quarterback, I think you have to kind of give him that respect.
Yeah. Shout out to listener Brant, his son turning 4 today. Gabriel, massive Colts, Pacers, and Notre Dame fan. Boy, can I get behind that. He's all about the mascots. Blue, Boomer, of course, I almost said Bloomer. Indy Leprechaun, and Rowdy. Mark, your favorite mascot. Blue, Boomer, the Notre Dame Leprechaun, or Rowdy? Have you ever touched Rowdy's nose?
I have not. The girls have, though.
Beyond.
Big time.
There we
yeah.
go.
I have touched
Squeaks
his nose.
now. Yeah. Yeah. I'd say they would vote Rowdy. They would say Rowdy. They've seen him the most, but they like some Boomer. They like some Blue and all that. They like the kazoos or whatever. Not kazoos. Whatever the hell the things come out. The party favors that come out of Blue's nose. They like that a lot.
Yeah, a little different than the cold that Max Bone's been fighting for the last month here, seemingly.
Freddie Fever running around.
Sure. Going back to Stephen Holder, that 2019 Colts, I would agree wholeheartedly this is much different. It was survive and advance almost 2019. Jacoby Brissett was playing, I just call it Jacoby Brissett football. You had the weird, like, Adam Vinatieri, like, what's left and where is he at from a health standpoint. I mean, they were winning. They were the Cardiac Colts. They were winning one-score games like none other. And, you know, really Jacoby got hurt against the Steelers when Cameron Hayward kind of took Quentin Nelson back into him. And that led to Brian Hoyer finishing that game and then starting the next week, loss, and then it just kind of unraveled once Jacoby got back in the lineup. I want to say they lost 5 of their last 6. I don't envision – now, of course, that a quarterback injury did impact some things. I don't envision that. Like, if you told me right now, like, how is the Colts offense going to be stopped soon? I don't think there's an easy answer. Their balance is unbelievable right now. I mean, I guess the NFL always humbles you and, you know, health could derail, but right now it's just hard to argue a healthy Colts offense all of a sudden falling off a cliff given the nature. Like, Mo Cox is on that team, James, and, you know, he's saying, you know, hey, we're blowing teams out now. That's different than what we did in 2019.
Absolutely.
Coming up in a moment, the man in charge of IU Athletics stops by. Scott Dolson will spend some time with us here on the Fan Morning Show. It's a Wednesday morning at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning. As the sun comes up, we see the rise of Indiana football at the same time, and they are sitting there at number 2 in both the AP and coaches poll in college football, and they've got UCLA and another home game coming up this weekend, and all things seem to be pointing up. The arrow's going in the right direction. We bring in our next guest to tell us a little bit more about how this is all happening and how it's being built. Scott Dolson is the athletic director over at Indiana University, and he is on the Payless Liquors hotline this morning. Good morning, Scott. It's got to be fun to wake up with just the Hoosier mentality these days.
Hey, good morning, and yeah, it's definitely been super exciting, and can't wait to get back on the field this Saturday and keep it rolling.
Scott, I was hoping, and appreciate the time, hoping you could take us back a couple weeks ago to you walking into Curt Cignetti's office and saying, you know what, I feel like now is the time for a contract extension. How much of that did you view the win over Oregon? How much of it did you view there are some openings around college football? If you don't mind, could you walk us through that?
Sure. It really was a kind of a comprehensive look at our program and all those things above that you mentioned. And, I met with President Witten on Monday, and given last season, and obviously we gave him a contract extension last year, but given the start this year, kind of where we are, where a college football landscape is, we really wanted him to feel a commitment to him, but also a commitment to football. And, basically that was our conversation. And one of the things that was super important to us as well is that we didn't want him to feel that just because he signed a new deal last year, we know he and his wife Manette love it here. The family loves it. We don't want him to feel we take him for granted, because what he's doing here is really, really special. And we feel like we're just getting started. So all those things were important to us. And I know he appreciated it. And it was a great process, just like it was last year. And I feel really, really confident in continuing to build what we're building.
You've described him as a unicorn. Could you kind of expand on that word?
Yeah, and really what I meant by that is he obviously is very unique. When we had the hiring process, we put together a list of all the qualities in a head coach that we felt would put us in the best position to have consistent success with our program. Things like we wanted an existing head coach, someone who had won consistently. We wanted someone who had staff continuity, real consistency with staff. We wanted someone who was a quarterback, kind of offensive guru. We wanted someone who had been a recruiting coordinator. So all those things were important, and Coach Sig checked every box. But in addition to that, why I think he's so special is the first time I talked to him, he just has this unique personality, this unique drive, focus, that when you combine that with all of his skill set, he is just what we felt was a perfect fit for us, but also, we wouldn't trade him for anybody. He's just a really, I think, highly, highly skilled head coach and understands the business of college football. He just checks every box, and just as you could tell, we absolutely are thrilled that he's a part of the IU family and going to be for a long, long time.
Scott, James Boyd here. I'm an Illinois alum, so I am convinced that IU football is back, baby, because I saw the 53-point beatdown from a few weeks ago. But I was wearing candy striped pants because of that loss. So
I got you.
I had to eat some crow there. But
Sure.
When you look at what this program was able to do the last 2 years under Coach Cignetti, just 2 losses, and those 2 losses were to 2 teams competing for a national championship last year. Has this gone better than even you might have expected?
First of all, James, Illinois is a great program as well, and have a ton of respect for their AD, Josh Whitman, and certainly Coach Belima and things that they're doing there. We studied Illinois when we hired Coach Sig. We looked at programs that we felt we could compare to programs around the country. So we have a lot of respect for Illinois. But yeah, we really this has happened probably. You dream about stuff like this, but there's no way I would lose all credibility if I tell you that I imagined that we'd be 18-2 in our first 20 games. I thought we would, continue to improve, and I thought that we had a chance to be good last year. But no, this has been, above and beyond all expectations. Ultimately, this is where we wanted to get to where we're competing nationally at a high level. But like I said, if I'd have told you, the day of the press conference and the day we hired Coach Sig that we'd be 18-2, like I said, you would roll your eyes and say there's no way you could think that. So Yeah, but with Coach Sig and just how he works, his plan, his blueprint, the way he is, it really, and again, this isn't a company line. This sounds like it is, but I'll be honest with you, James. We feel like, it's really a one day at a time, focus on the plan. That's the way we are in the department. That's the way Coach Sig works. It's the way I grew up under Coach Knight, honestly, working as a manager for him. And, we don't think we're the smartest people in the room that we've got all this figured out. We think we just got a plan. We have to really work that plan, adjust, adapt, continue to try to improve where we can. And, our opponent is now UCLA in that game plan, and we just got to stick to that.
So you talk about adjusting and adapting, and you look at the landscape of college football these days, you constantly have to retool your roster, and one of the best ways to do that is through the transfer portal. And you look at last year's roster, which was a great team, and this year's team with the addition of Fernando Mendoza. What has it been like getting him acclimated to the IU program? What do you think he's brought to the most important position in the sport?
Yeah, Fernando's been amazing. First of all, off the field, and you could probably tell in his interviews, he's one of the more I love him. I mean,
he sounds like a coach.
We've had some. We have great kids, but we've never had anyone any better than Fernando. He's just a wonderful young man, and I sound old when I say that, but I really enjoy him. I had lunch with he and Alberto late in the summer, and it's amazing. Like they're old friends. I mean, they're just great people, great family. So he's adjusted really well. But in addition to that, on the field, just the fit with Coach Sig, the way Coach Sig develops quarterbacks, back to when we hired Coach Sig, that was a really big, important part of the process. I feel that position, as you said, is such a key position. And, his development here, I think, speaks volumes for our program, but also speaks volumes for the work that he puts in, every day. I've heard Coach Sig say this publicly multiple times, that he's never been around someone who works at it as hard, or no one's ever worked any harder than he has. And he continues to extra time. I know this summer in June and July, Fernando and Alberto would come into the office in the afternoons and watch film and continue to just work on the mental side of being a quarterback. And, those things pay dividends. So we're thrilled to have him here, thrilled to have Alberto here as well, and look forward to the future and just watching him develop. It's been awesome.
He's the athletic director at Indiana University and the architect of helping to build this athletic program into what we're seeing right now. And we'll talk about the new basketball coach in a second. But in this day and age of big money and NIL and everything else that goes on, it feels to me on the outside looking in, Scott, that Indiana is positioned well to compete in that environment, being in the Big Ten, some terrific alumni, boosters, things like that. How would you describe the position that IU is in to compete moving forward with the biggest programs in the country?
It's a daily work in progress and a commitment, and I agree with you in terms of I think you hear this word alignment a lot, and I think we're positioned. I could go back to when Fred Glass was AD and I was deputy AD, and he did so much work on our facility end, and that helped kind of lead us into this new transformational time in college athletics. And President Witten has been massive in terms of when she arrived, and she really was committed. Our first meeting, she said, we need to build a winning football program here. And to have that support from the top is really, really big. And then ultimately to put together a vision for how to compete in this new world. And, with hiring Coach Sig, now Darren DeVries, making certain that we've got the infrastructure around him. There's so many unsung heroes that we would not be here today in a position to compete and go into this game Saturday if it weren't for, there's a guy named Pete Yonkman, and Pete behind the scenes is a volunteer for us that has helped with our collective and helps really create a vision for how we can compete NIL-wise in this new world. We're given these new cards we're dealt. How do we play them within the rules the best we can? And then certainly our alumni base, I could ramble for an hour about the amount of people who, and it doesn't matter, there's big donors, there's small donors, there's people all across the board that have supported us and then gotten behind our vision to build our athletic program. And then specifically, we're talking about football, but yeah, like I said, I'm kind of rambling on it, but it's so meaningful to me, having been here a long time, to see our fans step up in the way they do. And we couldn't, and this isn't a company line either, but we couldn't have the success we're having if all the things I just listed, including and probably most importantly, the fan support, the people who stepped up from an NIL perspective, we wouldn't be competing and enjoying the fun times that we are without that support.
It's the voice of Scott Dolson, again, the AD down there in Bloomington. As he has said, noon coming up, big noon kickoff coming up Saturday against UCLA. The basketball team will be up here in the state capitol, taking on Baylor, an exhibition game on Sunday. I think you kind of were hitting on it there, Scott, but to go a little further, I was listening to Kurt Cignetti, I forget which interview it was a couple weeks back, but he mentioned how he feels like some donors within whatever university athletically have started to now dip their toes across the parking lot, if you will, and maybe shift or add their contributions towards the football program. How have you seen that backing from a financial sense?
Yeah, I think it's been fantastic, and I think that I grew up working with donors. I've been, I was hired 35 years ago to as an entry level fundraiser in the athletic department. So I kind of feel like I've lived in that world. And what you find out is that support and donors who step up, they like to believe in and trust in the process and in the vision that we have. If you show them a plan and they really believe in that, people will step up. And so certainly as we had a plan for football, we have a plan for basketball, as we're working on just our entire athletic program. I think that momentum is really, gaining more and more support. And, our alumni base is the largest in the country. As just from your show being based out of Indianapolis, you guys know that there's IU people everywhere, and they just want to have hope and believe in the plan. And so, again, we would not be here today if it weren't for that support. And it's not something extra. It's not something that, hey, boy, it'd be great if we get some extra gifts. We can do some different things. Literally, this support has enabled us to help build this program, to enable Coach Sig to have the resources to compete, again, with the highest levels with the teams around the country that we need to compete with. So, yeah, it's been really exciting, and I can't thank our fans, our supporters enough for joining us on this mission to make certain that we can compete at the highest levels year in, year out.
Scott, last one for me, and we certainly appreciate your time during a busy fall calendar transitioning into the winter season. But, revenue share and how athletic departments and universities will divide that up has been a huge topic across the landscape of college sports. For you guys, football, men's basketball, how do you view how that will be divvied up from a revenue share?
Yeah, what we do, and we're really consistent with the way other schools, particularly in our league, we can't really, because of we can't compare each other's numbers because of the antitrust violation, but basically I kind of have a feel for how everyone is doing it, not just in the Big Ten, around the country, and we follow the revenue generated in the sport, and then also try to figure out what is the marketplace out there. So we're following that, kind of consistent, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that football is number one, certainly in that distribution, in men's basketball and certainly women's basketball, following that, and then we sprinkle it around in other areas as well. But again, to compete, you have to make certain you know what the marketplace is, and that's what we've really done, is to the best of our ability, knowing that you hear different things, you don't know exactly always what to believe and what you hear, what's out there in the market. But I feel like we're doing everything we can. Back to what I said earlier about the support we receive, with Hoosiers Connect, Pete Youngman, people who supported our NIL efforts. It's all about being able to compete in the marketplace. And I will add one other thing, because I think it's really important that, it's certainly money talks, and you have to have the resources to compete. But at the same time, both Coach Sig, Darren, Terry Morin, we want to make certain that the student athletes that we're bringing in understand the balance, that they, our student athletes still go to class. They still want to develop in every way. And again, that sounds like I have to say that as a company line, but I really mean that. And the locker room is really important. And just like Fernando Mendoza, we talked about, we want kids that represent IU and that certainly can maximize their NIL, rev share, all that. We're all in on that. But at the same time, they're developing as a person. And we're really proud of how our coaches recruit as well in that area.
Well, I'll tell you what, Scott, again, as the Illinois alum on the show, if you ever want to mess up the recruiting a little bit and send some of those guys over to Illinois, I'd be gladly appreciated. But on a more serious note, the last thing I have for you before we let you go, basketball. We know IU fans, and like most fan bases, you're going to be greedy. You know, football's back. They're rolling. But now we're looking at men's basketball. Credit to the women's program for being great the last few years as well. But men's basketball, why was Darren DeVries the right choice? And what do you expect from him in that unit in year one, knowing the rich history that you all have in men's basketball?
Yeah, Darren, it's very similar to the Coach Signetti hiring in terms of check the boxes of the key areas that we were looking for. We wanted someone that had modern offense that young men want to play in, and you look how college basketball is developing. We wanted to make certain they had that, but at the same time, we wanted a head coach that had really old school Indiana defense, play super hard and just really compete. And then in addition to that, Darren, we wanted we look at the person in terms of we want him to certainly fit in. We wanted a head coach that really had the personality that really would be embraced here with our fan base and with our community. And Darren checked, again, like Coach Sig, checked every box, not only from a coaching standpoint, but just the way he fits with us. And really excited about him. And in terms of expectations, just really want our fan base to just see it and understand that that's what Indiana basketball is all about, the way we play. And that sounds, it's easy to say, but it's kind of hard to explain. But I really want our fans, as we come out on the court, and I think you could already feel it last week in our exhibition game against Marion, that our fans trust the process and see that we play super hard, intense, love our effort, our defense, love our shooting, because we've grown up with shooters in the state of Indiana, and just really proud of our program and have a lot of hope for the future. And I'm confident that that'll happen.
Last thing for me, Scott, it's not just football and men's basketball, but things are rolling down there. I know that people are excited about the volleyball team this year. Women's basketball is always playing well. I found myself, true story, watching Indiana-Wisconsin soccer for a few minutes last night, and I think the Hoosiers were beaten up on like 4-0 at the time.
Awesome. Yeah.
What's your overall feeling about the health of the athletic department in general right now?
Yeah, I feel great. I feel like we've got a great slate of coaches that are really across the board, competing and developing our young men and young women. I feel like, we talk about winning a lot in our department, and we embrace that and talk about the process of winning across the board, not just with football and obviously men's basketball, but, we could go on and on with, our swimming program is kind of that hidden gem in some ways that, we can compete. Last year we finished third in the country in the men and fourth in the women, and I think we've got a chance to keep growing from there. And when we talk about winning, it's not just because it's for the good of old IU, which it is, but we really feel like if we want to maximize the experience for our student athletes in every way, winning is a big part of that. And the more we talk about it, the more I think our student athletes feel that's part of our culture, that we play to win, and it's okay to say that. And as we do exit interviews with our student athletes, this isn't a revelation, but the student athletes who've had a chance to compete for big games and win championships or be able to really compete at a high level, their experience is so much better. So winning is a big part of our culture, and something that, I'm talking a lot on this show. It's early in the morning, had a late night after the Big Ten AD meeting the last 2 days, but it really, we just want to do the work, and it's a process. So I like to under promise and over deliver. I don't like to be a big talker, but winning is super important to us for our student athletes.
Scott, thanks for your time today. We appreciate the opportunity to have a chat with you. Continued success throughout the rest of the school year, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Scott.
Appreciate it.
It is always good to talk to Scott Dolson, athletic director down at Indiana. But that whole program seems to be in a really good spot, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, volleyball, like you said, Jeff, having a historic season for where they are used to, certainly over the last decade, in a loaded Big Ten conference. Big Ten volleyball is, whatever, SEC football when it comes to that. But it's just we've said it in some way, shape, or form over the last X amount of weeks. But, you show up from Mars after an 18-month stay and you say, hey, the IU football team's ranked number 2 in the nation, and the IU basketball team is picked to finish 10th in the Big Ten.
I know.
It's like, wait, what? Did you say that correctly? But that's where they're at right now. I mean, it's astonishing, and football just does so much, not for your athletic program. No. Football does so much for university.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even him saying, like, oh, we studied Illinois, and I'm not saying this is a troll job. Illinois football was terrible when I was in school, and then the job that they've done has been pretty good. And then you look at IU, and it's like they're not even in the same class when it comes to the rebrand, the rebuild. And so hats off to what he's done, and obviously striking gold with Coach Cignetti.
And you look at Kurt Cignetti's contract. I mean, I know some of the numbers came out yesterday, and just the amount of control that Cignetti has.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, your football coach is more important than Pam Whitten, frankly. I mean, I know it sounds a bit crazy to say.
That's reality, though.
That's how it works, man.
That's in the Big Ten, the SEC, certainly. That's how it works. Again, noon coming up on Saturday. A massive favorite in this one. It'll be Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt and company on the call, and you'll have the Big Noon kickoff crew there. Mark, are we trying to vet somebody from that Big Noon kickoff crew?
Trying to. Not working so
We seem
far.
to have had struggles with that in the past.
You're efforting.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Greasing some palms.
Love me some Brady Quinn.
No, I know you do. He's your hero.
I think I speak for the opposite sex potentially listening to us as well.
You saved Colts Raiders. I mean,
who stepped in when Mark Sanchez had his snafu? That's one more for Notre Dame over USC.
Snafu is one way to put it.
Yeah.
All right, coming up in a minute, we'll talk more college football. Pat Forde stopping by, and we'll get his thoughts on Indiana football and how things are going in the rest of the college landscape as well. In the meantime, Mark, let's check it down.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Colts back to work today as they get ready for a Sunday afternoon game against the Tennessee Titans. 4:25 is first kickoff there. In the meantime, they, as always, on Tuesday, working out a few folks over at West 56th. Anybody stick yesterday for the guys that dropped by?
Yeah, Illinois. Speaking of them, James, you know a little bit about Seth Coleman, right?
I do. I actually covered him briefly when I was covering Illinois Athletics a couple years ago. So he's someone, I think he was like a sixth-year, college player, pretty freakish athlete, kind of raw to football. So I would imagine that the Colts just liked a lot of his, just physical athletic traits, and then seeing where he can go from there.
And again, right now, what's the health at defensive end? Samson Ebukam, the knee injury, Tyquan Lewis groin. It could be a big day on Sunday for JT Tuimoloau as a rookie rising up the depth chart. So it's needed with that group right now, in my opinion, underperforming.
All right, Indiana Pacers open their 25-26 NBA season tomorrow night at the Fieldhouse against the Oklahoma City Thunder. 6:30 start time on the Fan here for the pregame. And then, of course, we have the tip just after 7 o'clock with the one and only Mark Boyle. Last night, the NBA got started with a pair of games. Oklahoma City, speaking of them, they beat the Houston Rockets 125-124. They raised their banner. Then they had double overtime, and SGA not only tied the game at the end of regulation, but won the game with a couple of free throws in the second overtime. Ironically, Kevin Durant fouled him on that play, the sixth foul, and he fouled out, and he was booed mercilessly by those Oklahoma City fans last night, James.
Yeah, that's hilarious to me. He is one of the greatest players in that franchise's history. I think they should retire his number at some point, but that day wasn't yesterday, so I enjoyed the booing. And shout out to KD. He booed back before the game, so respect.
I'd sign up for 7 more of Rockets Thunder. Western Conference Finals in May. Give me some of that.
Yeah, I would agree.
How about some round ball rock and NBC?
Give me that,
NBA
too.
back last
I'll take
night,
it
huh?
all.
Sounded pretty good. The stuff with Jordan, though, they just going to interview him a couple of times during the season. What's his role going to be?
I'd be fine with that. I enjoyed it. I don't know. Hopefully, it'll expand, but I enjoyed the clips from Mike Tirico and obviously Michael Jordan last night. By the way, shout out to a couple local names. Brooks Barnhizer, not a ton of minutes off the bench for OKC, but he did get in there early. And Jake LaRavia in that second game. I totally forgot he was on the Lakers. He played. Trace Jackson Davis did not. Coach's decision play for
Jake
the Warriors
LaRavia,
last
that
night.
a Lawrence Central Bear?
Yes, on a great Lawrence Central team. I think they ran into COVID, if I'm not mistaken there, but he had a handful of points off the bench last night.
Let's see. Golden State beat the Lakers 119-109 very late last night. Jimmy Butler had 31, Steph Curry 23 in the win. Luka Doncic had 43 points and 12 rebounds last night in the loss. Golden State with a renewed Jimmy Butler, that could be a bit of a problem as the year goes along, James. We'll see how that all works out.
We'll see.
We'll see how that goes on. Meanwhile, they will be running some IndyCar again over in Speedway today, correct? just testing things out?
Yeah, I don't think a huge amount of activity, but yes, sounds like a couple cars on the track over there for a late fall testing.
All right, college football. IU hosting UCLA on Saturday. We'll talk to Pat Forde about that coming up in just a moment. Also, Rutgers plays up at Ross-Ade against Purdue. That one also starts at noon. So both Purdue and Indiana have noon kickoffs this coming weekend. Anything else you boys want to throw in before we head to
We'll
break?
see who the starting quarterback is for Purdue this weekend.
Yeah.
Ryan Brown got hurt, shoulder injury. If not, looks like Malachi Singleton, who was a decently highly ranked recruit there at Arkansas, came with Barry Odom over there. So that'll be something to keep an eye on.
All right, we'll talk college football with Pat Forde of Sports Illustrated in a moment. You're listening to 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Happy Wednesday. Thanks for listening to us. However, you may be choosing to listen this morning. We'll get to all that coming up in a minute. Had a terrific conversation with IU Athletic Director Scott Dolson just a moment ago, and we talk more college football right now because why not? You got the number 2 ranked team in the country, both in the AP poll and the coaches poll with the Hoosiers. Pat Forde is always fun to read. He's always informational. He's always insightful. He writes at Sports Illustrated, and he joins us now on the Payless Liquors hotline. Good morning in the middle of the college football season, Pat Forde. It's got to be heaven for you right now.
Oh, we're ripping and running. Good times. Yes, sir. Happy to be on with you.
Well, happy to have you. We were talking to Scott Dolson just a moment ago from IU, and we're talking about Curt Cignetti and what he's done and the brand new contract. And it's interesting. I had seen one of your most recent columns was about what's Penn State going to do as they try to replace James Franklin. And I thought it was interesting that in this era now where we're firing coaches 5 or 6 games into the season, that IU was very proactive in making sure that they didn't let Curt Cignetti get away. Were you surprised at all that it took them about 3 days to figure that out?
That was really fast. I mean, that was impressive, I will say. I think several elements go into play there. One, you could kind of see the Franklin thing coming for a couple of weeks as that very rapidly fell apart. And secondly, Scott Dolson and his people, they're not stupid. They know they have the hottest coach in the country and the best coach in the country right now. And, we got to do what we got to do to step up there. I think from the minute they crushed Illinois, it was like, okay, people are going to start coming after him even more than they did last year. Let's be ready when that time comes. And the second element of that is A, Indiana has something to sell now, and B, you got a coach who wants to be there. I think Cignetti was genuinely appreciative of the fact that at 62, after winning relentlessly for a decade or more, Indiana stepped up and took him, and gave him that shot that he'd wanted to have, that he knew he could capitalize on. And so I was like, yeah, you know what? This has been a good relationship. You took a chance on me. I took a chance on you. Let's keep it going.
Pat, you live close enough to Bloomington and certainly have followed the program, I guess, from afar, but not that far away, for years. So I think you could maybe speak to this. When Curt Cignetti said last year, before the Ohio State game, I feel like I'm at an emerging superpower in college football. I think a lot of people just laughed at that statement. But given the landscape of college football, is he kind of right of the alumni base and the Big Ten arms race and, the potential that's there from, what donors could do if they go across the parking lot from basketball to football? Is there a little bit of truth to that?
Well, sure. I would say this. I would say everyone is an emerging superpower in this era. Seriously, you throw
even
together
non-Big Ten SEC schools.
Sure. You throw together. Did TCU play for a national championship a couple of years ago? Was SMU in the playoff last year? Yeah. I think so. But you throw together enough money and you get the right coach and you get the right group of players, you can have a run. Now, what is a run? 1 year, 2 years? I don't know. But could Indiana sustain it? Theoretically, yes. And the reasons he mentioned are certainly important. Big Ten membership helps. It helps to be in the Big Ten of the SEC more than the SEC or ACC or Big 12. And then a massive alumni base helps. And if you get them energized, which we've seen, and I mean, you guys have been around, this. I've been going to Indiana games for 35 years. The level of apathy was incredible, but it's one of those things where you just give them something and that can turn around in a hurry. And you got all this pent up excitement and probably pent up donor money that now can be activated and put to use. The only thing Indiana doesn't have, and it's less important than it used to be, is sitting in like Georgia, Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania. There's good players in the state of Indiana, but there's not the same number. But that matters less now in a portal era and when players are much more mobile and less hesitant to go far away from home.
Pat Forde again joining us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline. the senior writer at Sports Illustrated. Pat, talked about transfer portal just there recently, but when you look at what Fernando Mendoza is able to do with that quarterback position, what has been your impression of what he's brought to this program, considering that last year they had a good, really good college quarterback in Curtis Rourke, and then now it feels like they've upgraded?
Oh, they've definitely upgraded. I mean, Mendoza's fantastic. I think the NFL has to be very interested in him. He's got size. He's got intelligence. He's got an arm. He's quick and decisive for the most part, and he's really accurate. Probably needs to show a little more downfield for them, but from a college standpoint, he's outstanding, and I think he's been put into a great offense with really good receivers, by the way, who don't drop anything. I mean, every time I see them, they catch all the passes, even the hard ones. So it's a great setup and a great situation. I saw Mendoza last year at Cal and really liked him and thought Indiana was getting an upgrade. Curtis Rourke was good last year, but in the games that it really mattered against the high-level opponents, I thought he was sometimes indecisive, sometimes confused at the line of scrimmage, didn't see blitzes, and wasn't mobile. And I think those are things that Mendoza is better at, all of those, and has a stronger arm. So he's phenomenal, and he's right there at the top of the Heisman race.
Pat Forde joining us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline this morning. Nice of him to stop by. I'll ask this question. We have a resident fan here, but I'm also interested in the program and a lot of fans here in Indianapolis. But after a slow start, here comes Marcus Freeman in Notre Dame. How good can they be?
Yeah, I think that's one of those teams that the rest of the country better not let into the playoffs because they may do what they did last year. The start, they lost to very good teams, and they lost one game by 3 points and one game by 1 point when they dropped an extra point snap. The defense wasn't very good at the beginning of the year. It still has some issues, but it's getting better, and the offense is outstanding. I mean, Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price are elite running backs. C.J. Carr's played extremely well at quarterback. They've got some line injuries that are a bit problematic, but I look at them and I look at their schedule, and if they get to 10-2, we'll see what the competition is, the lay of the land. If you're Notre Dame or a Notre Dame fan, you got to be heartened watching the losses start to pile up elsewhere, and that's probably going to continue for the next 5 or 6 weeks. And the more teams lose, the better your 10-2 will look. Now, they, I think, need like USC to finish well, Navy to keep going, Pittsburgh to keep going, so that those games mean something. And it's not just, well, we lost to two good teams. We've got to have some good wins on the resume, too.
Pat, last one for me, and we really appreciate your time in a busy season. I was fortunate to be at that Notre Dame-Indiana playoff game last year. I think the on-campus atmosphere is just absolutely through the roof. Do you think we ever get a point, assuming the playoff sticks to the current format, which probably not, do you think we get to a point where the quarterfinal games would be on campus sites, the top 4 seeds would get a chance to host?
I sure hope so. And I think as anticipated, a lot of those kind of schools looked last year and said, we want some of that. We want that home game and that the home field advantage and the home atmosphere and everything that brought. I mean, at Notre Dame, at Texas, at Penn State, and even at Ohio State when half the fans wanted to mutiny. I was there at that game. That was still a very raucous environment. So, I think it's good for the sport. The problem is, that it has been tied to the hip with the bowl industry forever, and undoing that tie is difficult. But I think, especially, look, if the playoff gets bigger, which I think, if it gets bigger in 16, they've screwed it up, which is entirely possible. But the more games you play, the more expensive it is. Why not play some of those games at home and then keep your fans from having to try to travel to 4 different postseason games?
Pat, great stuff. Always appreciate talking to you. Thanks for getting up early this morning and being with us. Safe travels, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, my pleasure, guys. Thank you.
You bet. Pat Forde from Sports Illustrated. And it's just – it's amazing that we sit here and we talk to national sports writers all the time now about Indiana, and it's like, yeah, they're here. They're for real. Kurt Cignetti, he said, did you hear him? He said, might be the best coach in college football right now.
We had Scott Dolson, the AD, on for 18 minutes, and we talked about football for 16 of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
which is insane. I mean, because IU basketball isn't some random program.
What a time to be alive! But that question that I asked Pat, that's as wild as it sounds. IU football fans might have to experience that. Them getting a top 4 seed, even with a loss to Ohio State. I think if they make it undefeated to Ohio State in the Big Ten title game, I don't think a loss should knock them out of the top 4. You wouldn't get a home game. Selfishly, I hate that. I mean, I think you guys know I'm a huge fan of these on-campus sporting event atmospheres.
I think that's an idea a lot of people can get behind, though.
The non-conference schedule I've brought up a lot. I think it's really cool when you get these marquee games on campus. That would be a bummer, as crazy as that sounds, for Indiana football not to experience that. Again, I know there's benefits. You obviously only play 3 games instead of 4 to win a national title, but I think having that in your own stadium, you think about all the memories you've had of a tailgater probably not staying for all 4 quarters, and to experience that I think would be unreal.
Can you imagine looking through the eyes of Don Fisher right before kickoff for a home playoff game at Bloomington?
That will be quite the job. I mean, he's got to be living a dream right now.
Best, man. All right, quick timeout coming up in a moment. Talk. That's what people do. They're talking about Indiana football. They're also talking a lot about the Indianapolis Colts and one player on the Colts in particular. Let's hear what some people are saying next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning. Welcome into a Wednesday. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd. I'm Jeff Rickard. Mark Dykton getting it done over there on the ones and twos. And I don't know if you heard right before we came back in, our voice, Jim Cutler, talking about the fact, and Don Cutler, his wife, who's also one of our voices, talking about the fact that the Colts will be heard. The game itself will be on Hank this coming weekend, the country music station, 97.1, because we've got Pacers during the fourth quarter. So the Pacers will start during the fourth quarter of that game. So you'll be able to, you always hear the games. They're always on both stations. But the game itself will be over on Hank this Sunday. We will still have all the pregame for you. And John will be live from Bullseye coming your way at noon. And then we'll have the 3-hour pregame leading right up until the 4:25 kick. But I just want to make sure everybody understands that. We'll talk about that a lot throughout the rest of the week. But speaking of the Colts, people are having this discussion now all over the country about, is this the real Daniel Jones? We talk about this. Is Daniel Jones the guy you're seeing right now operating at a high level in the middle of a great offense and a great play caller in Shane Steichen? Or at some point, is there going to be a regression to the Daniel Jones we saw the last couple of years with the New York Giants? People are talking about that all over the place. Rich Gannon, a former league MVP who works at Sirius XM, was talking about what he sees from a quarterback perspective and what Daniel Jones is doing right now.
I think Daniel Jones, Bruce, is playing like that. He's playing with confidence. I think he's got a coach that believes in him, a football team that has been supportive and believes they can win with him. And he's just playing with great confidence right now. And I think you mentioned the numbers. I mean, he's taking care of the ball. He's making good decisions. He's putting his team in a position to have a chance to win. They're running the ball well. The play-action game's been very effective. They've been good on third down. They've been good down in the scoring zone. There's a reason why they lead the National Football League in scoring. So, I think it's kind of like Kevin O'Connell last year with Sam Darnold. We talked about the quarterback whisperer and everything. You got Shane Steichen as the head coach. He's the play caller. He's done a great job with this young quarterback, or this, I shouldn't say young quarterback, but this middle-aged quarterback, and I just think we're seeing a different version of Daniel Jones, something we didn't get a chance to see in New York very often. At some point, you're the agent, you got to sit down, and at some point, you're the team, you got to say to yourself, hey, as sooner we start this conversation, the less expensive it's going to be to get a long-term deal done with Daniel Jones. Yeah, I think I've seen enough, Bruce. I've seen enough personally through 7 weeks that this kid is the right guy for the Colts right now.
How about that? Somebody who's played the position, was an MVP, looking at Daniel Jones and saying, Colts have their guy.
Well, he's middle-aged. Yeah. Is my biggest takeaway from that.
28. But then they called him a kid at the end.
I know, a 28-year-old middle-aged kid.
Yeah.
But that's the reality of life as a quarterback. I mean, if he's the guy, this could be the guy the Colts have for the next decade.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fact that you say that, and I don't laugh at that, is just kind of wild. And I'm picturing my brain on August 22nd, picturing you saying that here on October 22nd. And then we get into debates on what's best financially. Is it the franchise tag? Is it, a longer-term deal? Does Alec Pierce get the franchise tag? I mean, all of these debates, obviously are on the back burner for a while. I know there are some contract stipulations and complications that, could withhold maybe an extension happening during the season itself, but it's hard to imagine a regression. I get the NFL is the king of professional sports leagues that humbles you. I mean, more than any other league, it is the league that humbles you. But it's hard for me to see it right now. It seems like the perfect marriage. It seems like just two football nerds, Monday through Saturday, obsessing over football to the nth degree, and then on Sunday they play chess and the opponent plays checkers.
It's been fun to watch, and he talked about it at the beginning. Rich Gannon did too. Whether it's play action, whether it's they're doing this or doing that, and I go back to, it's not just Daniel Jones, it's not just Jonathan Taylor, it's not having a really terrific group of receivers. I don't think you can understate the addition of this tight end Tyler Warren and the different looks and opportunities he gives the offense, and the problems that all causes defenses. And where do we line up? Who do we need to worry about right here? What's coming next?
Absolutely. I think Tyler Warren is having an all-pro season so far. I think he's been the best tight end in football. So I don't say that lightly. I know it's early-ish in the season, just 7 games in, but that's the trajectory that he's on so far. And then I think we were talking about this, I want to say it might have been Kevin or somebody else in the media room last week, just how many people are in contention for certain awards already. You know, JT, MVP / Offensive Player of the Year, same thing for Daniel Jones, Shane Steichen, Coach of the Year. You know, like I said, Tyler Warren, All-Pro, Rookie of the Year on the offensive side. Like, how much better, how much more do you want? And selfishly, I guess the only thing I'm looking at realistically is, do you make a move at the trade deadline? Do you continue to break sort of this character that you've had throughout the years? If you're Chris Ballard, of being conservative, which you kind of weren't this past offseason, do you stick to that? Do you say, hey, you know what? I've taken some swings. They've worked out. It's time for us to go all in. And I believe one of the commenters we had, it was either on my story or on the text line, said the NFL stands for not for long. So, you know, you look at the top players on this team, Kevin, they're not young. So, I mean, at first I was like, I don't know if you go all in. You want to keep your draft pick in just in case the season goes terribly. And, you know, you want to make sure you're able to draft a quarterback, whatever the case may be. But, I mean, at this point, it looks like if you can, I'm not saying trade a first-round pick, but if you can take some of your draft assets and move on from them and perhaps package a player or two to go get somebody who can help you right now today, I'm all in for that, just because I feel like that window, if you're looking for it, it's probably staring you right in the face right now.
Given that Tyler Warren comment earlier, and I agree wholeheartedly, I think Tyler Warren deserves to be right up there as an all-pro tight end this season.
Yeah.
What would the Colts' record be with Anthony Richardson under center?
Right now, today, I probably have him at like 500 maybe.
4-3?
Yeah, something like that. 3-4, 4-3. Like, I just don't think the consistency would be there as a passer. And that's the biggest thing for Daniel. And it's not just consistency, it's that he's been consistently aggressive and accurate down the field.
Yeah, he's walked the line beautifully, Jones, of enough throws down the field, but then again, when he needs to find simple, he finds it. He finds it every time. And, I mean, how many, throwaways has Daniel Jones had? How many just, dump passes that have gone incomplete? That's probably the biggest difference between him and Richardson, is those little dump passes to Amir Abdullah on 3rd and 10, it's completed and turns into 4th and 2. Whereas with Richardson, I don't even know if he finds the check down to Amir Abdullah. And if he does, it might sail into the dude. I was going to say the dude holding the chains, but we don't have any chain gangs anymore, do we?
I don't know. I think we kind of do.
Keep them for visuals.
Because do you remember,
Yeah.
Years ago, I want to say this might have been.
They don't come on the field. They just stand on the sideline for the whole game.
The first down markers, I guess. The people they still hold those up.
Yeah, I guess
so.
You're right.
Yeah, I was thinking. Do you remember when Will Levis ran into somebody in Tennessee and he broke the guy's leg on the sideline? And I was thinking man, that's when I feel like chain gang should have ended, because I can only imagine how upset that guy was. You bum, how you run into me?
Calling Will Levis a bum. I think a lot of people would like to do that.
One more thing on your point too, Kevin. What Daniel Jones is really good at too is making the easy play easy. It's just there. Just throw it. It's there. Just throw it.
Yeah, I mean, he finds simple. Every play has an answer, right? And seemingly Daniel Jones finds it at an extraordinarily high level right now.
JT gave a very unique answer about that as well. Talking to him after this past week's win, he was saying, yeah, pretty much Daniel Jones gives us every answer 2 or 3 times over, and all we got to do is just take the test with all the answers. So if any of you all have ever cheated in college like I did, it's pretty easy to, pass the test when you got all the answers.
You are joking right now, right?
Of course.
All right, coming up in a moment, we will talk about trades, trade possibilities, and one major player who will not be available. We'll talk about it next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning. Great job, as always, Mark Dykton, in running this thing and steering this plane, keeping it on the runway.
Try to.
I know it's difficult
Wings
sometimes. James Boyd, Kevin Bowen, Jeff Rickard with you this morning. Man, what a day we have had so far. Yesterday we had a chance to talk to Rick Carlisle. He'll be on every Tuesday, as he always is, throughout the course of the season. We talked about that. That's up on the website right now if you want to go to 1075thefan.com. But a great conversation with Scott Dolson about an hour ago. Kevin, what were your big takeaways from talking to the man who's brought in Curt Cignetti and now given him an extension and a raise, and Darren DeVries is here, and the rest of the athletic program is rolling right now? What were your big takeaways there?
Well, I think urgency. That's probably the word I would use. How quickly they got to that next extension for Scott Dolson. From a pure, business sense, people that are obsessed with whatever, finances, and, you need to, you have to earn the pay that you're going to get. They probably look at, 2 extensions in less than 2 years as skepticism. What? Why?
I don't want to earn anything.
That's not good business. Why are you doing that? But when you live in the world of college football, that stuff goes out the window. Agents run the show.
Yeah, it's still the projection, right, to a degree?
Right, there is some of that, but, the agents, they control so much of it. Jimmy Sexton's the big agent out there. He's going to, move his pawns around, and, all of a sudden one coach leaves that job. Okay, how about 3 of my coaches flirt with that job? Okay, that forces their 3 schools to now give those 3 coaches increases. Then I'll have a 4th coach come in there, and he'll actually take the job. That's, as sick as it is, that's how the game works. And so I think Scott Dolson and Pam Whitten really had no choice. Now, they could be stubborn and disagree with that, or say, no, we're not going to do that. We just extended him the year prior. He was making north of $8 million before the extension, and they hired him originally to $5 million, or I forget what the original contract was from JMU. But they didn't. They realized, hey, we got to play the game, and if we're right on this guy, and he's been darn right so far, what he will do for our university and our athletic program is going to be absolutely through the roof. And having that urgency and not being stubborn, not saying, no, well, yeah, Penn State, come after our guy. We have shown him support. No, you're going to go the nth degree for that support. And I think doing that shows you they care about football at that university, which has not always been something that I think you could say.
The other thing that's stuck with me, a couple days ago, I heard Curt Cignetti talking about how this all unfolded. And he said it took him, James, about 90 minutes. Got the phone call. He said, they told me this is what we want to do. This is how long it wants to be. What do you think? He checked in with his agent, talked about it a little bit. 90 minutes, he said. That's how much he wanted to stay here.
It would have took me 9 minutes or 90 seconds. I mean, hey.
You're paying me how much?
We want to give you more money to do the same exact job that you're already doing very well. How about it? Sign me up.
Because other teams might pay you even more to leave.
You do the whole fake, you don't really want to sign it, and then they leave the door, and you call your wife, and you're like, holy bleep, they're offering me this. I've got to play it cool.
Oh, absolutely, man. I've never been in that position, but yeah, you get a job offer, and it's like, I got to talk it over with the family. For me, it's always like I talk it over with my parents, and my parents are like, hey, you know what they finna pay you, boy?
They got to call my cardiologist. They'd be like, I'm having heart palpitations.
Yeah,
too many
but
zeros
$90
right
million, I mean, I don't have much to dispute or argue. Yes, I am worth that much if you think so.
Now, I did hear we have the infamous Curt Cignetti picture of him in that lovely love seat.
I did see that.
In his living room. It's the love seat he's had for years. And amidst all of these new finances going to the Cignetti family, wife Manette, I believe.
Yes.
I'm saying that correct. The love seat is still there.
I respect that, though, because I feel like that's...
So you can get paid like Kirby Smart and Ryan Day, but I could not endorse that more.
It's like
Curt
having
Cignetti's one of us.
A favorite pair of, beat-up sneakers or a hood. It's worn. It's perfectly worn. It's yours. It's been like that for years. You get the new thing. It just doesn't feel the same. So I'm all for that. It might stick out like a sore thumb in a new place, but... Hey, man,
comfort is comfort.
We got to remember where we come from sometimes.
Now, can I ask you guys for some home advice?
Sure.
Oh, I don't know why you're asking me. Hopefully it doesn't involve children.
Really hope Maddie's already locked into work.
Don't get in trouble, man.
So, shout out to my 6th grade English teacher. I probably am not doing this job without him. Carl Kinnear at Clay Junior High. Carl, I should call him Mr. Kinnear. Mr. Kinnear had Sports Illustrated. So picture our room right here. Our, I can call it a heinous room. Our heinous-looking room right here. Picture a Sports Illustrated cover on every corner of these walls.
I like this guy.
So dating back, I want to say to like the 70s. And 6th grade me was obsessed, obviously.
Yeah.
Could not get enough of it. And, captured, I probably didn't pay as much attention as I should have just looking at all these. So I and my parents were very nice, and they said, all right, for Christmas, we will get you a subscription to Sports Illustrated. And so I have had a subscription to Sports Illustrated and have kept every cover since. And my parents, a few years ago, downsized from their home when, obviously Ryan and I were out of the house. And so my mom's like, we'll keep them, but at some point, they need to go to your house. So they have made their way to my house. And the look on Maddie's face when I brought those inside was a look of shock, horror, awe, all of those. And now with a third child on the way, we have put Max and Rosie into the same room. And so the Sports Illustrated, she looks at me the other day. They were underneath Rosie's old bed. She said, are we keeping these or are we throwing these away?
Which
wife,
isn't really a question.
I think you should
my wife
talk
is
to
37 weeks pregnant.
Yeah.
This has easily been the most challenging pregnancy of them all. I could not hug and love her more, and the sacrifices she makes are through the roof. I think she wanted them at the curb.
Well, you read that statement correctly.
You know what?
Boys,
I will tell you that, but I
Boys,
got a solution for
they're
you.
not going to the curb, and I need your backing on this.
I have a solution for you.
I'll say backing. I don't have a spare room in my apartment, so I don't know how much backing do you need?
They're currently in our downstairs. We have a shower in the basement. By no means has ever been used in our lives. They're currently in there. She wants them out of there as well. Should I keep them or should I listen to her?
Do you have a shed? Do you have anywhere you can put these things?
Oh, shed. I feel like the elements are going to ruin it.
Yeah.
I could not agree with James.
Just save your swimsuit issues.
I need a 3-person vote. All of you have votes.
Tyra Banks,
Mark is truly
if we're
one
just,
of one.
If
Keep
we're just
the
looking
swimsuit issues inside and put the rest in the shed. Is that what you're saying, Mark?
Tyra, you stay with me. Everyone else goes outside.
Should I keep or should I throw away? I need votes.
If you're just
Should be a
looking
poll.
for a
Mark, can we get a
raw
poll on
vote,
this?
I'll go yes. You keep them. But
Yeah,
I might
yeah.
have a solution for you at the end.
Okay. James, keep or throw away?
Oh, man. I'm going to say keep because I think that the bond is strong enough that you won't be asking one of us to spend the night.
That's 2. Mark? Are we
keep-
unanimous here?
You keep them because I would say,
I love you guys.
how many compromises have I made? I don't know if that's going to go over well with a pregnant wife.
Boy, Mark.
Yeah.
I'll
how
probably
many nights
leave that one on the cutting room
you
floor.
know that decor that you've just
Here's an
purchased and
idea.
I've just accepted? Give
Here's
me
an
this.
idea.
Give me one win. I need one win.
Can we bring them into the studio?
I did think about that. I thought about, what is our new situation
Yes.
going to look like
Can
when
we
we
bring
do
them to the
move,
studio?
move buildings. So I have thought
We need some
about
feng
that.
shui going on with the new building.
And, at some point, if we ever, get into maybe a bigger home or something like that, maybe there's
Yes,
more of a
I'm
man cave
speaking that into your life.
atmosphere. And maybe there would be a decor element that we could involve. Gosh, if she heard that, she'd be appalled that I even suggested that. So I'm glad that you guys are my friends.
I think you could be like, you can kind of grovel too. You can say, I really need this win right now. But life's going tough. I could really use
I
a
don't
win
know
right
if that's
now.
going to work with the
She
woman
is
who's
the one
pregnant.
37
Yeah,
weeks
no.
pregnant.
Just Mark
carrying
is
on her
setting you
child.
up for
The
failure.
world
She's been
has-
sick
the world
for like
has
2
me-
months.
Don't
The
listen
world
to
has me
Mark.
thinking
Oh
about
my.
a lot of things.
Aren't
if
you
could
supposed to be the
just-
veteran here? You've
I was
got
going
the
to say,
3
you
kids
of
already.
all of them, I'm shocked that you're
You're the
going down
worst
this path.
advice.
I'm on the blank list more than anybody. What are you talking about?
You're just used to being there, so you don't care anymore.
yeah. The couch is inscribed
So,
with my butt cheeks.
Here's my question. I'm just doing some quick in-my-head math. You were how old when you started this collection?
6th grade. So what are you, 11, 12?
So that's 52, probably call it after a special edition or two, 54 a year on average. You have all of them?
We got them. Stacked up high in the shower. I can take a picture for you guys and show it to you.
Because my other thought was if she
A lot
really,
of great Tiger Woods covers
if
in
she
there.
digs her heels in, maybe you can get 15 or 20 and frame those covers.
D. Sutton says, KB is gone all the time. Throw that bleep out. It's not worth anything, you hoarder.
What, could you convince her that they are worth something, though? Could you say these,
are they worth anything? Probably not.
But does she know that? Could you
No,
just say,
Mark,
like,
I'm not in the lying
doing
business here.
research. I'm doing research to see how much these are valued. There's some good Tiger Woods ones in
Now,
there.
James, are you a collector of your credentials?
I am actually.
You are? Okay.
Yeah.
I do too.
I'm not really sentimental like that, but my sister told me years ago I should probably keep them. And she said, hey, when you are done with this, she wouldn't. She's kind of artistic like that. She was like, hey, I'll take them and get them, like, put in like a, I don't know, frame box or something to kind of look back at your career.
Like I have framed in our basement. It is a small frame. Maddie actually likes that one. And certainly been in the news here over the last couple of weeks. The Indiana Daily Student, the front cover of the Watch Shot. My article from that game was on there. And so, like, that to me, and it means a lot, frankly. It's probably
I've
sad.
got a couple articles that are framed.
Like, how much
honestly,
it means to me.
No, it's
I mean,
cool.
I think you've probably had some stuff in the New York Times.
I think it's very cool.
Yeah, I've got some stuff framed. But honestly, I
standpoint.
feel like every time I get something framed, it ends up not in my possession anymore. Somebody else wants it. The mom, the grandma, the aunt, and I'm just like, so I think I have things across the country. Okay. I don't have anymore. But yes, I'm still team keep your stuff. But also, it's just confirmation bias because you're asking a bunch of sports guys. Should they keep sports magazine? Like,
what do you want me to go walk out on the circle and stop people on the streets?
I'm just like, I don't know.
You guys are the only people I talk to for the first 6 hours of my day.
I feel like the HGTV crowd or more of that ilk might be like, that's not going to fit with, the feng shui.
So listeners are willing to help. Joe just texted in at 239-1070 and said, Kevin, if you want to bring them to New Albany, I have an extra room to store them. All caps. Do not throw them away.
Yeah, I'm not. I think I've come to that conclusion. They will not be thrown away. Joe, if I drive 2 hours to New Albany, thank you for the offer. Maddie might drive them herself 2 hours to New Albany just to get rid of them.
So
she's incredibly supportive of what I do and all my nerdy. I mean, hell, she watches me rant and rave about Notre Dame weekly, and yet she's still married to me. It's just the Sports Illustrated I'd really like to keep.
So we busted out all the Halloween and like fall decor, and like we keep them in big tubs, like weather sealed tubs.
Yeah.
Do you have any of those? They're like $7 in Costco or
I have
Sam's Club
some
or something.
in those tubs, and I have some of my credentials as well in those tubs. And then my dad, shout out to my dad, when they were moving homes and I was at college, he helped saran wrap them together. So they are,
nice.
like 2012 saran wrapped here, and 2006 saran wrapped here.
See, I think you got to bust the saran wrap open. If you just go all in, if you're gonna keep them, put them up in the bedroom.
You got to be able to access them at some point, don't you? You can't just have them all under plastic
Put them up in the
wrap.
master bedroom and say, "Hey, Matty Bowen,
I'm
you're gonna get
one
used
day,
to loving this stuff."
If you're wondering why our bed is 18 inches higher, it's because I have all these Sports Illustrated.
I'm envisioning one day Max and I perhaps sitting down looking at a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
busting open the saran wrap.
with the way that sports media is going, and I work for an outlet that doesn't print anything. I mean, I work for the New York Times technically, but like we don't print every athletic article. Yeah, I think that you should hold on to the stuff.
And I know I've said this before on these airwaves. One of the coolest things that I think is happening today in the year of 2025, and I hope it never stops, and shout out to Doug Bowles, the fact that we still have a hard ticket to go into the Indianapolis 500. And that hard ticket is cool. I mean, it is, Newgarden, climbing over the fence, or, Elio, whatever, Spider-Manning, or whatever Pillow will be on the ticket this year. And the fact that Pacer fans could have, if I'm not mistaken, got a commemorative ticket to the finals game 3, 4, and 6, I think that's awesome. Like the hard copy of it to me, and again, I'm showing...
Those are keepsakes.
I'm showing my older age than 36 here, probably why I got a hair transplant. The fact that we have those things, I like.
The last thing I'll say on this topic, I think you should talk to Rick Venturi, because when I followed him around, like I do once every camp, training camp that is, we get to talking, and he's told me that he's kept every single notebook that he's taken notes on whatever team he's covered or not really covered or worked for, I should say, throughout like his, 30, 40 years in pro football. And they're all in his basement. And I said, hey, does the missus ever think like, man, we should get rid of some of these? And he said, if she ever got rid of my notebooks, it would be over.
There you go.
And I got a feeling that Coach Venturi.
When you say confirmation bias, Rick Venturi might be at the top of
but again, the guy's been married for a long time, very happy marriage. He's living a great life.
Sure.
Shout
out to Miss Sherry.
The rules
Hope
he
she's
always
doing well.
has. He says, hey, don't die, don't get married, don't have a baby during football season. It's worked well for the man. So I think you should talk to a veteran, unlike us who don't have as much experience. He's got experience.
Indoor storage unit is also an alternative.
Yeah.
So you know what?
That
Fine.
costs money though every month.
Am I just a loser?
I know.
Nah. I think we all got our quirks. I'm like that with sneakers.
Okay. No,
I think one
everybody's
day
got their thing.
the missus will probably tell me, James,
People
you have
call
too
me
many
I'm a
sneakers.
dork. People are saying I'm a loser.
Yeah, I got a whole
Those
garage
people
full of.
stick it.
I got a whole garage full of bikes, and I even have one or two in Colorado, and I get hit on by my my
geez.
stepmom and my
Whoa.
wife
Hit
all the
on by
time
your
about that.
stepmom. I've seen movies like that too.
No, hit on to get rid of him by the wife. Let me finish the sentence,
Whoa,
Kevin
I
Bowen.
don't know where we're going with that, but man, we should probably get you a check down before.
That's a whole other
Jeff ends
movie
up
I've
getting
watched
beat.
too.
Hey,
Boy.
you were told that line last week, Jeff. You might be coming back with a black eye.
I'm at the point. I'm at the point. It's all good now.
And you said you're flying out after the 9:30
Yes.
segment
Brother,
here. It's
you
probably,
better not go home.
Probably good news there.
Miss
by
Christine,
the
you
way,
gonna hear this?
Our
And
buddy,
I thought my Sports Illustrated problems were a big deal.
our buddy Q's got something for you, Kevin. It's time to turn the garage into a man cave. That way, they're no longer
My
in the
garage
house,
is
but
a
still
piece
in your
of
possession.
Get
It's a
the dump one, Ray.
win-win. Q wants you
My
to
garage
know that.
stinks.
Well, I know, but turn it into a man cave.
Hell, it's dusty as hell. It's old as hell.
You can fix it
I
up.
appreciate you guys listening to my story. I probably won't splice this one out and send it to Maddie.
Nick the Quaker wants to know, are the swimsuit issues pre-saran wrapped or not? Important detail to understand.
Those might be in a little rougher condition, probably, is what I'm guessing.
Someone says, keep them. Tell Maddie SI was the inspiration that led to your career, that
Look at
helps you
that.
to have a beautiful home.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Raising great
Who is
kids.
that?
You owe it to SI.
Pat Forde.
Who sent that in?
Pat Forde chiming in.
Anonymous needs to
That
sign
was
one of
excellent,
these.
whoever sent that in.
Yeah.
Just making sure you don't hit on anybody.
Still
in that
not totally
process.
following Mark saying he watched a movie about some step.
We weren't on company Wi-Fi. I could show it to you.
I
Should we
will
check
say
it
this:
down?
this group never disappoints.
Yes, we should definitely check it down.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Guy can't even finish a sentence before people jump all over him. Mark Dyke did.
Man, I don't know. You set yourself up
Yeah.
right there,
I
Jeffrey.
hadn't finished the thought yet.
Oh
you-
man. Well, we got
Man,
to think
man,
we
oh,
got to
man.
think
I
these thoughts
finished it
out a
for
little
you.
bit.
Looked like that USC dude fumbling in the fourth quarter on the old trick play the other night.
Yeah, but I'm
like
the guy
Mark
that recovers
Sanchez
it,
running
takes it
into
in
that
for a
dude's
touchdown.
There you go.
Man, oh man, you guys are rough. Tell me about the Colts. What are we looking forward to today when they get back over at West 56th?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with health. You want to see Josh Downs back at practice, perhaps. He had missed last week's game with a concussion. And then, what is the status of Tyquan Lewis with that groin injury? Where's Samson Ebukam when it comes to his knee injury? Things of that nature. I think injuries are usually the first thing that come to mind for me when we get back to practice. And then on top of that, flipping the page to next week, Titans, you beat them already, but at the same time, they have a new coach in there. What challenges do they perhaps present? Maybe not much, but, I want to hear from Shane Steichen.
All right, Colts will play at 4:25 on Sunday afternoon, Lucas Oil Stadium. You'll be able to hear the game in its entirety on Hank FM 97.1. We will carry John's pregame show, the drive to kickoff, the ride to kickoff, beginning at noon. We'll have all the pregame, but once the game kicks off, you need to tune in to Hank 97.1 FM because we've got Pacers a little bit later on that night. And speaking of the Pacers, Mark Tyson, they open their 25-26 season tomorrow night at the Fieldhouse against Oklahoma City. Airtime 6:30. Mark Boyle has the play-by-play at 7. It's a rematch of the NBA Finals last night to start the season. The Thunder not only raised their banner, but they then defeated the Houston Rockets 125-124 in double overtime. We were talking about this before the show started, Kevin. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can play basketball. He's pretty good.
Yeah, great, especially second half. Hit a huge shot there late to force the game. I'm trying to remember correctly. I think into the first overtime. Chet Holmgren, I thought, was really good as well. Obviously, that'll be a key for the Pacers tomorrow night, given their center issues. So we'll see about Jalen Williams. That's the good one. With the wrist injury, didn't play last night.
That's
but
the good one, is man.
I'm sorry. That's the only way I know how to describe it. They literally have two Jalen Williams on the same team. The one that without the hair. I mean, he's got good hair, but not the crazy hair like the other one has. So, yes, Pacers Thunder tomorrow. I'm curious about the injury report. If I'm trying to go through the list of it, obviously we know no McConnell, Quentin Jackson, hamstring. Some people are like, why are you bringing up Quentin Jackson? If healthy, he's your backup point guard.
Yeah.
For tomorrow night. Jarris Walker didn't play in the last preseason game with a back. And then Johnny Furphy, and he was shooting threes when we were out there yesterday, an ankle issue. And Furphy, I think, could be in the rotation tomorrow night. So, I don't know. I find myself, just super curious about this Pacers season. And that has me looking forward to tomorrow night a lot. There's a lot of unknown, but it's curious. And, I think we can bank on a four-man core moving forward. Halliburton, Nesmith, Nembhard, Siakam. Who joins it? I think that's a big question as well.
That video yesterday that they put out, the social media team for the Pacers, by the way, was excellent. Did you see that?
Yeah, really well done. Yeah, it's
Yes,
kind of
I
Like
did
everyone's got us. Everyone's doubting us again.
the
and
hype
this and
video
that.
for this season, if you will.
Outstanding.
Yeah,
Shout out to my guy Juwan Nelson, who had a chance to work on that project. He's a videographer.
really well
and
done.
It was good stuff.
Joanne, great work.
All right. And speaking of great work, how about the new intro for NBC? Getting the NBA back last night, Round Ball Rock, terrific intro, terrific panel. They got Michael Jordan on there now. Looks like Tirico and Reggie Miller are a broadcast team. I'm excited about watching basketball on network TV.
Yeah, you'd be surprised what happens when you actually promote the basketball when you're going to, host a basketball program on your network.
You mean everything's not a hot take?
Oh, it was great. It was great to just actually have it. I'm so serious about that.
I am too.
Man.
I think the studio show still needs a little bit of tweaking. I feel like NBC is such a strong sports brand, but their studio shows are lacking a bit. I need the NBA and the NFL to both.
I also
step
thought
their
it was
games
funny
up.
that they had Chet Holmgren out there, looked like he just stepped out of the shower with a towel on, showing the ringless trio of Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, and Carmelo Anthony, his championship ring, and he's like 23, and these guys are like Hall of Famers. It's like you couldn't find anybody on that panel that have a ring.
Yeah, other game last night, Golden State
They're
Warriors.
Michael Jordan's doing 5-minute intervals. He's busy.
Yeah. Warriors beat the Lakers 119-109. Jimmy Butler led the way with 31 points, enough to offset Luka Doncic's 43 points and 12 rebounds. A host of games tonight as the season continues to kick off this week. It'll be the Cleveland Cavaliers in New York to take on the Knicks. You have to root for somebody in that. Who would it be?
I think if you're a Pacers fan, you always got to go with the non-Knicks.
I think so, too.
Cavs in this case.
Always got to go with
People
the
got
Cavs
some
right
great
there.
advice to what to do with these Sports Illustrated. I'm scrolling through the text.
We're going to
line.
go through some of those coming up in a minute.
That's what I'm
after
saying.
the break.
He did the same thing with his SIs and made the coolest bar top ever.
See, there's lots of things to do. We'll get to those coming up in a minute. We'll also let you know that college football getting ready to kick off again this weekend. IU will host UCLA on Saturday. Had a chance to talk to Scott Dolson about his new contract with the head football coach Kurt Signetti just a little while ago. That'll be up on the website a little bit later, or is it already there?
Come
it's already
on.
there.
Don't you know me by now?
I like to hear you say it's already there.
It's there. 10:01. Fire it up. Download it.
All right.
Give us a like.
Again,
Leave
if
a
you're
subscribe.
If you're over in Speedway today and you hear the familiar sounds of Indy cars, there's a reason for that. More off-season testing on the oval tracks going on out there. They did a little bit yesterday, a little bit more today. Speaking of Twitter, I saw Doug Bowles was posting just little shots from around the Speedway all day yesterday. It was kind of fun. I enjoyed that.
Great to see that. College basketball again, Purdue at Kentucky coming up. The Matt Painter conversation with JMV, always a great one yesterday afternoon. So Purdue will get underway coming up Friday down there in Rupp in Indiana, right here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. That is 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon against Baylor in an exhibition game. Scott Drew coming home there with the Baylor Bears.
All right. Anything else you guys want to throw in? I think we're good. All right.
I got a Colts cornerback that sounds like you might want to play football, a former Colts cornerback who did have one good year here.
Who was that?
Well, let's tease it.
All right. We'll do that, and you get more help, too, for
I know.
your
I
Sports
got to scroll
Illustrated
through the
problem.
text line. These are great.
People are coming to your aid right here. We'll tell you all about it next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Happy Wednesday. We got a little bit of a dilemma here for Kevin Bowen. He's got his third child on the way. His wonderful, amazing wife, Maddie, is, did you say 37 weeks along now?
37-week appointment here in about an hour.
And she wants to know, hey, I love the way they ask these questions, too. Hey, are you keeping all those Sports Illustrateds?
Maybe a slightly sterner tone than that, if I could, maybe get a little bit more descriptive on that. Before we get back on the Sports Illustrated, I did tease this, and James Boyd, it seems like the Colts work out every corner over the age of 30 years old. How about this former Colt corner with this tweet? Woke up this morning with an itch to get back on the field.
This is Darius Butler.
Ooh. Xavier Rhodes.
Ooh.
Former first-round pick. How old do you think he is? I'm going to guess 30.
33?
Yeah, that's what I was going to guess.
All right, well, let's see.
Oh, boy, he's older than that.
35.
35.
Is that what Gilmore is?
Wow.
Is Stephon
Yes.
Gilmore 35?
Gilly is 35.
What a freak.
See,
So is he middle-aged?
when you always,
More so than Daniel Jones.
I always think of the great Darrell Green, who played till he was 42 with Washington. But
That's
the thing
crazy.
but here's the thing that was crazy about Darrell Green. For the first 12 years of his career, he was clearly the fastest guy in the NFL. Some people said he was under 4.3 for the 40, right? So the thing is, if you lose a step in your mid-30s and all of a sudden you're still running a 4.35 and you have all the experience and knowledge, you're probably still a pretty decent cornerback at that point in time, right?
I will add this to the debate we had yesterday in the 9 o'clock hour with Joel Erickson. What would you, and James, I think you and I are on the same page. I'd vote pass rusher over corner. I can be talked into either, but if you had to make me pick,
Right.
I would vote pass
It's
rusher
the
over
Denzel
corner.
Washington meme of like, I'm leaving here with something.
I got a little nervous yesterday when Lou Anarumo drops the stat on the Zoom of, hey, right now we're 7th in sacks. No. You're 19th in sacks. To me, it's sacks per pass attempt. It's not just purely
Total
sacks.
Yeah.
If you're playing Navy and Army every week, you're not going to have a lot of sacks.
Yeah.
But if you sack Navy and Army twice on 5 pass attempts, you're doing a damn good job of sacking the quarterback. And right now, sacks per pass attempt, you're 19th in the league. And given your investments and given the quarterbacks you've played and the banged-up offensive lines you've played, I would argue that needs to be higher. I know their pressure number is pretty good. I feel like the pressure takes too long. Very effort, very stunt-based. Not enough individual dudes winning. And so that's why, if I had to pick, I would side with one or the other. If you look at the last 2 weeks, especially Jacoby Brissett and Justin Herbert, they've held onto the ball longer than normal for them. And that's why Jacoby threw for a career high. And how many games has Herbert threw for a career high? And Herbert's played, 90 games in his career? And Jacoby had one of the highest games of his career. And he started over, 50-some games. So that's where I would go.
One guy who will not be on the market, the Raiders asked on his day off, asked to meet with Max Crosby yesterday to inform him they have no interest in trading him anywhere anytime soon. He will be a member of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Didn't he
he's off the
just
market.
sign like a huge deal as well? So
And you brought in Pete Carroll. So, what would you be doing bringing in Pete Carroll and then getting rid of Max Crosby?
Yeah, but for the purposes of like the Colts, I don't think that they would make that sort of move just because one would probably cost you a first-round pick and then a lot of money, which, again, I feel like the move should probably be something where, you get somebody that's serviceable and, maybe a little flawed is probably
fourth-round
realistic.
pick, I don't know, something like that.
I'm fine with that. Like, I don't think you need to go like, okay, we have to go get the best of the best because that's going to cost you a whole lot.
You're not breaking the bank draft compensation wise.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I like where this is headed.
Colleen here. My mother is also named Colleen. Do not believe this is her. I don't think her technological savviness is at to the point where she's texting the radio show.
Okay.
Kevin, I have every Scout magazine from the first Colts game I went to in 1995 up until this year. So I'm with you. Say that's great. So for those that haven't been to Colts games, that's basically the program from every game. This from Clint. Tell me the day you put it at the curb and I'll be down the street. Take in store till Maddie comes around. Okay, thank you. For those that are just joining us, I have kept every Sports Illustrated since I was in 6th grade. Maddie's asking if I'm throwing them away. Shane, keep them. You tell Maddie SI was the inspiration that led to your career. It helps you to have a beautiful home and raising great kids. Oh, my gosh, Shane.
Yeah, but I just feel like Maddie's going to look at you and roll her eyes. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
You know your wife better than us.
This one's a little nervous. He goes, the regret would be harder to live with than a resentful wife. Well,
Wow.
Oh, man.
Wow. That sounds like he's been there for a while.
That sounds like a terrible.
I think one of the easier things to do is call someone else's wife resentful and then having to live
Now,
with
does
that.
she have anything of like keepsakes that she has?
No,
Nothing?
nothing.
She's not a hoarder of any sort. She doesn't have
I think
anything.
her mom maybe has some like Beanie Babies.
So then use the transitive property.
Now, are Beanie Babies, is that like the thing? Are they? If you have the tag of the Beanie Babies, is it worth a lot of money?
I don't know. My mom claims that we still have some at our house. I'm like, BS, because I haven't seen those things in 20 years. There's
Google
no way.
what the heck this is.
What about
A Beanie
Pokemon
Baby?
cards? Are those still a thing?
Oh, Pokemon cards are for sure a thing. Yeah, you can make good money off of those.
See, I don't have a lot of my old baseball cards. I wish I did.
I'm looking at Beanie
I have
Babies.
some, but
You
I don't
didn't,
want
oh,
them.
yeah,
Okay.
James is young. He doesn't know. The Beanie Baby craze was wild. There's that. There's Pogs.
I remember Care Bears. I think that's
So the
still a
only
thing.
hoarding that you guys, if you want to call me a hoarder, fine. The only hoarding you guys have done is credential-ish stuff. That's really it.
No, I've got a lot of magazines.
Okay.
Got a lot of magazines. Sports Illustrated,
Jeff's
Sport.
like, yeah, but I have every Playboy since
No.
1978.
No, I have zero Playboys, but I do
How
have.
great would that be?
And you know what else I have? And I stopped getting it for a while. Someone bought me a subscription when I was in my 20s, like a Christmas present. I had like 3 or 4 years of National Geographics around too.
Nice.
Like for some reason, it feels wrong to throw away a National Geographic.
Mark, nothing wrestling based?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't have any. I mean, I have stuff at my parents' house, but I don't even know. It's not wrestling based. Those are all gone for the most part and stuff. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything like notable.
One additional thing I had growing up, and my brother and I both had this, is we had pennants on our ceilings.
Okay, those I
When you were
still
a kid,
have.
yeah.
So
I don't have, I think I maybe gave a couple to my nephew. I don't have as many as I used to, but like I have, one of the coolest ones is I have a pennant from Busch Stadium, Old Busch, right here off 16th Street, and then the first game at Victory Field. And I've always thought that was kind of a cool, and like cool. Final Four logo from, was it 2000? I think that was the Final Four here. I have that, which I think is cool. So yeah, now that I'm talking out loud here, I got a lot of just.
I feel like I still have like
stupid
all of,
belief.
and probably because I don't live there anymore. My parents, when I go home, I feel like I'm going back to like 2002.
You're in a time capsule.
Yeah, like every medal I ever won from sports is still there,
Sure,
and you
sure.
know
Oh, yeah.
trophies.
Yeah, I mean, I
and,
got all my golf.
you know, the
trophies and all
MVP
that,
from
yeah.
high school, like stuff like that. And I'll say this as a true statement. That MVP was giving out of sympathy. I was not the best player on my team my senior year of high school. My coach was just like, you're the senior captain. You can have it. I'm like, yeah, I was not close to being the best player. But, other than that, I think the hoarding-wise, I probably got like that when I had sneakers. I was really into sneakers in college because I want to say my first checks just went all the shoes. But even then, I want to say a couple years ago, I went down to Brownsburg. They do that sneakers and Santa's thing. And, I gave away, no joke, I probably gave away 20 pairs of shoes. And just was like, people were like, oh, you should have sold them. I'm not really the sell type. I'm just like, if I don't want them anymore, you can just have them. So,
Gosh, you love
give
shoes.
'em away. Yeah.
You love them.
But again, I gave away 20. I probably still have like 20 more. So, yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys, Mark, you're a Manning cast watcher, right?
Yes.
The Daniel Jones Manning cast in his room. Remember, they showed his childhood room. Was it Eli was on one side and
Peyton's on the other?
Yeah. He
was
had
it,
the
was it
fat
Peyton on the other
heads.
side?
Yeah.
And did they have Kobe in there too?
I can't remember, but he did
Kobe,
say
yeah.
that is how the room still looks.
Still is. Yeah.
Which I thought was funny because it's just like, you've been in the NFL for a while. You made a whole lot of money. I would have thought, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he had, parents had moved or whatever. But, like, he's like, no. Like, he was like, they took that picture this morning, which I thought was great. Because that is, I feel like that's every family. Until,
One of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, until they move out or downsize or something like that. My room is still the same.
Yeah, it was. I'm looking at it now. It's Eli on one side of the bed, Kobe in the middle, and then Peyton on the other side.
Not bad.
How wild is that? Then you become teammates with the dude that you had on the side of the wall. Like Eli and them were teammates.
Yeah.
Who were the players posters or magazine covers you had up on your wall when you were a kid?
Well, definitely Tiger. My
There's a
brother
shock.
was a huge Alonzo Mourning fan. Ryan also had on the back of his door the Rudy movie poster, which I always really, really loved. Yeah, and then I had a ton of pennants.
James, how about you?
I had Allen Iverson and Michael Jordan until years ago. I want to say I might have been in high school when I realized I didn't even watch Michael Jordan, so I took that one down. I think my dad might have put that one.
Iverson over Tyronn Lue.
I actually have it's. I should take a picture when I go back home. It's Iverson dunking, a rare photo of him dunking a basketball in a game in the Philly uniform. So yeah, I had the Allen Iverson one on the top of the door, MJ at the bottom. Took the MJ one down because I was like, that feels fraudulent. I didn't watch this guy. A lot of respect for MJ, of course, but yeah. So now the Allen Iverson stands alone by itself.
Yeah, I had older guys will appreciate this. I had David Thompson all over my room.
Sure.
Skywalker, and I always had one cool poster, the Orange Crush for the Denver Broncos back when their defense was just dominating. They had no offense, but that was it. So every kid I think that loves sports has that experience.
Listener Sean here, not asking Mark if he has a picture of the '85 Bears, asking if Mark had a bunch of Hustler magazines from back in the day. Is there any validity on that?
Not necessarily Hustler, but I'm sure there was some in the woods and the parents back in the forest. Why are you guys in the woods all the time? No reason. We're playing soldiers. Leave us alone.
All right. I will let you guys go for the rest of the week. I've got some business I got to go do, but I will see you again Monday morning. You guys will be back in a moment here, and we'll take us through the end of the week. Mark, take us a break.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Just got word that the great Jack Doyle going to join us coming up tomorrow on the show. I've really enjoyed him and Matt Taylor. Have done some podcasts this year over on the Colts audio network, and Jack and his insight on Tyler Warren, I think, has specifically been really good, but also just as the team as a whole. So he will be joining us coming up tomorrow at 8 o'clock. That is former Pacer ball boy Jack Doyle joining us on opening night. How about that?
I mean, does he want to go out there and do it again? I mean, I feel like they should welcome him back. Who do they have revving the engine? Is that what they still do?
Oh, yeah. Do they do
the
that?
Pacers?
Mm-hmm.
Say, Jack, I'd vote for you. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Did that die after 1 year, or is that still a thing?
I actually don't know.
I saw Will Ferrell do it a few years ago. 50 Cent's done it. I'm pretty sure.
Interesting.
Caitlin done it yet?
I would assume. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I would.
I was gonna say her
I'm pretty sure they
always,
still do it.
Very unique.
It's still a thing. A 7.5-point underdog tomorrow. Pacers and Thunder. It'll be us three the rest of the week. Jeff off to Charlotte. So myself, Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton. James, I was trying to think. Colts get back to practice later today. Josh Downs. The concussion protocol for him. Where is he at? And then the defensive end guys, and then I guess anyone else that maybe got hurt Sunday and we don't know about. Frankly.
I would also throw in Ashton Doolin.
Yeah, Doolin. Yep.
He was one that I kind of
call.
forgot about earlier throughout the show, but he was probably the reason why A.D. Mitchell was active this Sunday, being down 2 receivers in your rotation. So, yeah, that's always the biggest thing on Wednesdays is who's practicing, and like you said, are there any new injuries we were not aware of? I mean, we would ask Shane, and we have asked Shane, but sometimes he just says, hey, wait for the injury report, and it's like, all right, well, we tried.
Oh, Eddie Garrison says they haven't done the old rev up for a couple of years.
Yeah, well, there you go. Shows how in tune we are.
So what have they done? Nothing?
Well,
why am I blanking on this? I feel like I should know this.
Yeah, I was just you've been to more games than
I was just covering Pacers games.
Yeah, I don't really think they have
I feel like during the playoffs it was just like throw the ball up, let's hope.
Yeah, I don't think they have like an anvil type of thing or any sort of.
Well, we have Hoosier 97 saying get JB to rev the engine. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Hoosier always calls me Indiana Bones, so if I get an Indiana Bones jersey, I would totally rev the engine.
There's no way that Titans make this a game on Sunday, right?
I'm going to say no. I know the NFL is weird, but I just feel like the talent gap is so big when it comes to the Titans and the Colts that it's hard to really mess up to a degree or even have weird things happen where you lose that game.
I will say I don't love the 2 touchdown and more spread in a division game, though.
Yeah,
I think that would be a little closer.
Do you get some juice from, having the new coach in there and seeing a team for the second time, a division opponent? I mean, all these factors. But I just feel like this Colts team, that is, they're really good this season at handling business against opponents that are just not on their level.
And Tennessee, to take it a step further, Jeffrey Simmons got hurt on Sunday.
Right, so
that's their best
that's
defensive
another
player.
Talent gap right there.
I know Calvin Ridley, and shout out to Javarius Ward for that. He was really bad in Week 3 against the Colts, but he didn't play on Sunday with an injury, so his status is also up there. And that's like 2 of their 4 or 5 best players. So
and they don't have many good players, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a stretch, and I think back to Week 3, in that game, they do have Tajay Spear, so him and Tony Pollard I do think is a nice running back duo. They're a little healthier on the offensive line, but still, I mean, there's nothing that I can point to for that. And, when you think back on Week 3, James, a couple plays stand out. First off, I remember the Daniel Jones play. I remember he was kind of under siege on that 3rd down pass rush. Houdini escapes, takes off for the scramble.
Slide next time.
And that would have been their first punt, I think, of the year maybe at that point. Yes, he did take a big hit off that. And then really the play of the game is probably the Jonathan Taylor touchdown run.
Yeah.
Tyler Warren,
that was one
lead
of the best runs
play
I've ever seen. Yeah.
as a fullback, and then Taylor breaking a couple tackles there at the 2nd, 3rd level and outrunning everybody into the end zone. So, Cam Ward did move the football a little bit in that Week 3 matchup. That probably should be noted. But still, the Colts, that was a game where they handled their business. I strongly disagree to those that thought that was a trap potential game in Week 3. I was like, wait a minute, your first road game of the season. You've struggled in the division over the year.
Have we developed since then?
Yeah. Now, like this, if you wanted to call it trap game, okay, I can hear you out on it. You just played a game that, you probably circled more on the calendar with the Chargers. I don't know if you're necessarily looking ahead to at Steelers, but, it's an interim head coach. This does have a few more of those elements to it, but I just think Tennessee's really bad.
Yeah, and I do think at some point, because it's the NFL, the Colts will lose a game they're supposed to win, that they're favored to win. But at the same time, I just don't see that happening to a degree where you fall flat on your face against an opponent you're not supposed to. Talking to Shane Steichen, gathering more information on Daniel Jones and how obsessive he is, those two really are together. It's hard for me to see them looking at any opponent and saying, oh, we got this. I mean, every time we talk to any player, we're like, oh, yeah, Daniel has hit me up on Saturday night before the game saying, hey, did you double check this check that I put into, the game plan?
Yeah, I thought you tossed a couple good questions to Tanner Bortolini the other day on Monday, and him describing Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones sitting next to each other on the plane right out there, which, some of my experiences, that's not always a given. Head coach and quarterback right next to each other on the plane ride and, chatting about, hey, 4 hours there. And I know the Colts, I think they pushed back their travel a little bit to L.A. They wanted players to stay up and try to stay as much on Eastern time as they could. Mark, I should probably have asked Jeff before he left. Our out is what?
We've got like another minute or so.
Anything appointment-wise tonight? Just a bigger NBA slate?
Yeah, I definitely want to tune into some NBA. I feel like might be in the minority there. My dad's always like, I can't focus on the NBA when the NFL is going on. But when there's no NFL, I'll tune in. And I do like, I'm trying to just get my bearings when it comes to all the different setups now with NBA coverage. Last night was NBC. I think ESPN tonight might be the debut of the new Inside NBA show.
That's correct.
Pacers are ESPN tomorrow.
Right.
Along with Chris Quinn, JJ, Eddie Gill, that crew. And then, again, the Pacers have a tough schedule. We'll probably get into it a little bit more tomorrow, but, you got road trips right after this. Memphis, I think it's Memphis, Minnesota, Dallas, and then you come home. Golden State and Milwaukee is in there. Atlanta's kind of a sneaky team in the East this year.
Yeah.
They're in there, and then you go out West after that.
I feel like we're getting to that point of the year where things start to get a little crazy for us just schedule-wise with trying to keep up with all the games because college football's around the corner as well. And you know me, I love my high school hoops as well.
College basketball. Certainly we'll start to have some weeknight attention on top of that. Thank you to Scott Dolson for joining us. Really enjoyed that. That'll be up. Mark already has that up on the podcast. Again, it'll be us three tomorrow. Jack Doyle at 8:05. Everybody have a great, great Wednesday.